amount of your time. Amendments to the agenda, gentlemen?
I have none, sir.
Nor do I.
I do.
Go ahead, sir.
The fire ban ordinance is on for second reading. It didn't get published on January 23rd. Kara thought it was either Kelly or I was going to do it.
Okay.
We didn't think to tell her that
Okay.
it's her job, so we'll.
You want to postpone that then?
Yeah, I think a
Okay.
week without pay is sufficient to remind her now. But, yeah, if we can put it on Wetmore, she's gonna get it
Remind
published
her
on
not to trust
Thursday,
you.
this Thursday.
Okay.
So putting it on the February 19 agenda in Wetmore,
All right.
we'll get it done.
All right, hold on just a second. Well, if I find these technology guys, I am gonna figure out why my R doesn't work on my keyboard.
You gotta pop it off and clean out the credit underneath.
Yeah, I've sent it to, you-know-who, Big Boy, twice.
Oh, well, you
and,
can't do it.
So I'm gonna go up the ladder and have Alex look at it. I've had it with that technology
Probably
guy.
just need a bigger hammer, is what I
Right.
always do.
I think you need to call Donna and have her buy you a new one.
But that's what you think, all right? You just keep your thoughts to yourself this morning, sir.
Is he feisty?
Are we up? Oh, we are up and running, okay. I would move then that we postpone the agenda item concerning the second reading of the burn ordinance until February the 19th. Is that Wetmore?
No.
18th? I can't read that calendar from here. I can
17,
look,
18, 19.
but the 19th?
Could I allow that? It's my wife's
I'll
birthday.
second the motion.
Thank you, February 19th. It's been moved and seconded to postpone the reading of the burn ordinance until February 19th, Commissioner meeting to be held in Wetmore. Discussion. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, sir, appreciate that. I will strike through that then. Actually, we can delete that off of this agenda. It doesn't need to be struck through. Okay, anything else, sir? Council?
No.
Okay. Gentlemen?
No, sir.
All right, we'll move on. I don't believe we have any minutes to approve. Commissioner items, Commissioner Kanda, would you like to begin, sir?
Yeah, 2 days since we met, wasn't it, or 3?
Yeah.
Super Bowl was good. My team won. Did yours?
The team from the AFC won.
That's
There's
yeah,
two
it's
times.
not my team.
Thank
That's
you,
the way you
'cause
look at it.
you made
It
that
makes-
a pretty firm
The
statement,
reason
sir.
that you want to vote for the enemy is because they're in the same league, and it makes Denver look a little better, but not much.
I told somebody there's 2 reasons I support Kansas City and 2 reasons only. 1, when they play the Patriots, and 2,
Yeah.
when they're in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, since last time, good letter, Jay, on the what we'll consider later on the single point of contact for CDOT. And in that light, I did talk to Carmel and told them to rewrite their letter, because I'll take it to the 2 towns. And the towns did agree to not consider it in their meeting. Did you go to the meeting?
Tonight.
Is it tonight? I thought
Tonight is West Cliff.
Silver Cliff was last night.
I didn't go to Silver Cliff.
And then the other thing is, I did work the North bill, and we can discuss that after meeting. There's no point here, but we're good. I'll explain that after.
Okay.
You don't want to do that during Commissioners,
Nah,
not
there's
on
no
the
point.
agenda.
Yeah, that's right. It's not on the agenda. It's not anything we're going to vote on.
No, but I'd like to hear about it.
Okay, well, we can if you want.
Yeah, I
but
think we should.
I was going to talk to both of you later. If
No,
you
that's
want to do
fine.
it now, that's
Yeah,
fine.
let's do it.
So the bill's legit, and nobody ever talked to Norma. Period. She did call in and talk with, tried to get a hold of Paula, and Paula never called back. And so and Norma, I believe, went through it in detail with her. And so what I think happened is they couldn't coordinate, and whether for a breakdown or for whatever reason, and we would have told them to dig anyway. And so it's a legitimate charge regardless.
To us,
Mhm.
even though they didn't come out and scope it or anything?
That's right, because they can't. On those old lines, it's a straight line shot guess coming across there, and what they would have done even if they'd have been here, they never were contacted to come out.
Well, somebody's
They
lying
never.
then.
That's exactly
Yeah,
right.
we
I'll
were
tell you
told they
who-
were contacted
I'll tell you who I
twice.
think it was. I think the contract, Norma never got a call. Nobody ever talked to her. And she just kept trying to call, when she got a hold of Donna or whoever, and they asked her to talk to Paula, Sheriff's Department. She called Paula. Paula took a message, apparently, but never talked to Norma, and she must have relayed it on to Shannon. So there was some problems with communications down the line. And so even if we'd had gotten a hold of them, Nora would have come out and said, here's the tank, here's the coming out of the ground, straight line dig, and it would have broke. They would have hit it because it jags around. So, and they did it twice. You know, they hit it twice.
Well, they hit it the first time digging a post hole. Norm come out and fixed it,
Yeah.
and then their
It
fix leaked the
Right.
second time.
Right.
They didn't cut it twice.
Yeah. No, they
came out to fix it twice.
Yeah, they came out and
They
fixed
came
it
out to
twice.
fix it
Yes,
twice.
that's
but
right.
They had
That's
to
right.
fix
Right,
their
right,
repair job.
right.
And
So
so it wasn't cut twice, it was cut once.
that's right. It was repaired twice. But in any case, because of the process, so Norma came and talked with Donna, or had a long conversation with Donna, and so what Donna asked her to do is send the bills to the Sheriff's Department, and they've been going through county somehow. I'm not quite sure. They just got delivered to the address, and then that found its way in. And so it's just a process problem, the way I read it. So I think we can have another talk with Donna and and our crew over here. But the way it was presented to me over there, I do believe Norma, and it, she was adamant. Nobody had talked to her about it. She was actually pretty upset.
Yeah. Well, there shouldn't be any more bills because we paid it.
Right, and they appreciated that.
So they shouldn't be
There's
sending
no
another
other,
bill
I'm
to the
just saying,
sheriff's
in the
department.
future, and for future tank deliveries and other processes, that's,
But they're not gonna reimburse us. Okay.
it was, and if you, I went through the things that they have done, they have donated to the sheriff's, armor, they went through a whole
Well, that
bunch
is
of
wonderful,
litany of
but
things
it's
that great.
irrespective
They
of.
care about us, and they're working with us, and they would have jumped right on it if they had been contacted.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's no reason to contact the sheriff's department about it because that was a subcontractor. So I
Right.
think the next thing is I will get the information from Shannon about the subcontractor, and
Yeah, I think the subcontractor,
so,
he may, for whatever reasons,
Well, unfortunately,
She
we were
claims
led
she
to
lied.
believe that Norp was contacted twice. Norp said they weren't contacted at all.
hear from anyone.
And both those could be true. They could have contacted the wrong person. I mean,
Could
we
have,
just don't
that's-
know.
And that's why I said, from our point of view, we just need to clean up our side of the communications.
Well, it's
when we
not
get a
enough
bill
money
back.
to really get too concerned
yeah.
about.
And I just want to make it clear that line was not cut twice. Their repair
It was repaired
failed.
twice, she didn't say it was cut
So,
twice,
anything else, sir?
Tom, welcome.
but no.
Morning, sir. Commissioner Prince?
You know, I really didn't do a whole lot since Friday. I did talk to a couple people about roads. I talked to a lady about BSO, and she was just wanted to rave to me how wonderful John Carroll was doing. So, sorry about that.
That's okay.
That's really all I've done. I really didn't get into anything.
Comfortable in sharing anything about the Secretary of State's website?
I will.
Thank you.
Is it appropriate?
I think it is, absolutely. That's not commissioner business, nothing is.
Well, okay, I re-registered to run for this,
Oh.
for this seat when it becomes vacant, next year. And I have to go get petitions signed, something I didn't think I'd have to,
Yeah.
but I will. And, so I'm hoping to be in this chair again January 1st next year.
Well, good, I'm glad you got your affidavit
I did.
signed, and certainly I know you are capable of knowing that you're running in District 2.
Yes, but the newspaper, I politely leaned over to Elliot and told her to please get that straight. And I also said to her, I'm a little disappointed because that's the easiest thing in the world to verify. Just go to our website, Custer County, and it says it on there. To get it wrong in the paper, you know, some things I can see getting wrong. That one I thought was just sloppy work. And I'm not knocking them, I'm just saying I didn't think it was appropriate to have that mix up.
The paper reported that Commissioner Prince was running in District 3 and
You were
I was
running
running
in.
in District 2. They had them just backwards, correct?
Yep.
But
Did you
nonetheless,
get your petition?
Oh, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I thought you had one.
yeah,
So-
so, yeah, we're good.
If we're lucky in January, we'll keep this team working, hopefully.
Excellent. All right, anything else, sir?
Good.
No, thank
All
you.
right. I've got a few items I wanted to bring up today. One, I have scheduled the water line workshop for February the 7th, this Friday at 10 a.m. here in the Commissioners' Room. These gentlemen may find this somewhat interesting. I wanted to bring up, many of our citizens have received this flyer in the mail from Massa, who out of Plantation, Florida. If you want to hand that to those gentlemen, they just might be interested in. So I had a couple calls about that and wanted to know if I was aware of that and if I was going to attend and so on and so forth. So Kara mentioned to me, our administrative assistant yesterday, that she had a phone call that kind of questioned the legitimacy of that. And so I called that number, got in touch with a gentleman out of Plantation, Florida, and eventually indicated to me that he was in charge of registering people for this event. And he said that the February 19th meeting was sold out. Would I be interested in signing up for February the 20th? And I said, no, I'm just calling to see what the deal was and so on and so forth. So then I called the husband, who is a friend of mine that owns Bell's Restaurant. He said, hey, I wonder if you could confirm that you are in fact hosting this meeting with this Massa company out of Florida for Air Medevac. And he said, no, we certainly are not. As you well know, our restaurant is closed. No one has contacted us about that. And so we have no plans to host anything on February 19th or 20th. So,
You ever hear of them?
go ahead.
I can speak to them. I deal with it quite often. So Massa, they're a third-party organization, so it's kind of like, I don't know who I would sort of,
Come up here and speak into the microphone if you wouldn't, just so people at home can hear.
Yeah,
You're on
and I
TV.
failed to announce this, and I should anytime we have new guests. We live stream our meetings. That's what that camera is up there. And so one of the reasons we went to the microphone system here, which this is our second or third meeting to do that, was to improve the sound quality on the live stream. So,
sure.
but
Okay.
go ahead. sir.
Thank you
Yeah,
for coming
appreciate
out,
it.
I appreciate it.
So Massa, they're a third-party organization. They offer air ambulance coverage, but there is a limit to what they do. So the program that we're going to be offering you today with us, we are the actual provider. So Massa, they have
Massa's not. They don't have any assets.
they have no aircraft. If
Yeah, interesting.
if there was not a helicopter in the area that could fly someone, Massa would be worthless, really, because
Wow.
they don't transport people. What Massa does is they offer coverage, but they cap it. So, as you all know, air ambulance transports are pretty expensive. From the last time I interacted with Massa up in Wyoming, they cap their coverage at around $20,000, I believe. So if a flight is $40,000, the patient is still going to have a considerable amount of exposure there to that bill. So I always tell people if they're looking at Massa to ask for terms and conditions and read those terms and conditions.
So the insurance company?
It's not insurance.
The broker for some other bunch of insurance companies?
It is not. It looks like insurance. It acts like insurance, but it's not insurance. It's kind of it's similar. It's a membership program. So
Right.
you pay dues every year to them, and they cover you for whatever their scope of coverage is. That's why I tell people to ask for their terms and conditions. Because sometimes I've looked at their terms and conditions in Wyoming, and sometimes it's different here in Colorado. So that's what I would recommend if you're looking at Massa. Look at what the limitations are. And because right now I have several counties up in Wyoming who went to Massa from our coverage a couple of years ago, and they are actually now coming back to us because they, I won't go into any specific details, but they were exposed to that limitation in coverage, and it was actually quite ironic. One of the county commissioners in one of the counties I cover was flown, and he got kind of burned on the deal, and that blew up the whole area when it comes when you
So it would cover any ambulance company, but up
Correct.
to whatever limit you signed up in the club for.
correct, but they have that limitation on the
And
coverage.
so they're a third-party contractor to other flight companies.
Right. I always tell people this: if you're, we're the responder, or we're the actual provider. So they're a third party. If there's a complication with a bill, they can step out of the way, and
So you deal
it's
with that
between
with your
you and the provider at
Yeah,
that point.
okay. All right,
So
well, thank you, appreciate it.
That's the difference.
All right,
Appreciate
thank
that.
you, sir,
Thanks
appreciate
for
your
coming in.
clarification. Yeah, so I just wanted to bring that up because I'm assuming, I know for a fact, 2 people were intending on attending that. I need to reach out to both of them. This all happened yesterday, so, and I will let them know that. And then, I spoke with Jordan Hedberg, the editor of the paper. He said he was gonna, he had a blurb about this on the front page of the paper that comes out Thursday, indicating that meeting is not happening, so I just wanted to bring that up.
It's on Facebook also that it
Okay.
appeared to be inappropriate.
I had a good conversation with our auditor yesterday, Sam DiNardo. Had some questions I wanted to ask him about procedures for handling some of the money that we have basically said we were going to earmark for certain projects, the Justice Center and the landfill being the 2 critical ones right now. And I said, I asked him what we could do. I had a couple of suggestions or ideas what I thought we should be doing, and he said, well, yeah, he said you could, but he said what you really need to do is create a committed fund balance line in our accounting system, and then we can transfer or earmark money to go into that. We're not gonna have a landfill expansion line
Instead of
item.
leaving it in the pot.
Yeah, we're not gonna have a Justice Center expansion line item. He said, just create a committed fund balance line item and then put your money in there. He said, really, you need to do that by resolution if you want to protect that money so that someone doesn't arbitrarily go in and say, okay, meaning us or anyone else, to say, you know what, we've got dollars in the committed fund balance, let's just use that to pay for a new vehicle or whatever. We can do that. We can still take it out of that fund and
Sure.
spend it
We
on
just gotta
whatever we
make
want, but it has to be
positive
done by
action
resolution.
publicly.
Because we need to make a resolution to commit that money, and we need to make a resolution to uncommit that money. So he recommended that. I think that's probably, based on his recommendation, what we probably ought to do is look at that. I haven't had an opportunity to talk to Donna a whole lot about that yet, but then we can earmark those dollars, put them in that line item, and we'd have them. It's still within the general fund. It will not be a dedicated fund like Road and Bridge.
Right, it's just a pot.
But we can certainly put money in there
Right.
anytime, and we can take money out, but it just would have to be done by resolution. So I know we've got Rusty from the landfill who's graced us with $11,000 for the landfill expansion, and we just need to get that money earmarked, get it into that committed fund balance, and then we know that's in there. We can track it a whole lot easier than it floating through that general fund. Same with the Justice Center, so.
I like it. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll pursue that with Donna, and at some point we'll come back, put that on the agenda, write a resolution towards that end, and get that created, so.
Would this be 2 separate funds or just
No,
one
it's
fund?
one fund. We can commit dollars into that fund for whatever reason we want, we just footnote that, on the balance sheet of
Special projects.
11,000 was for landfill,
Donna would keep track.
59,000 in the Justice Center, whatever those dollar amounts are. But it would only be in one fund, and that's what I originally asked him, do we need a committed fund balance for each entity? And he said, no, you can put as many entities in there you want. So when we audit the books, we will look for a footnote on the balance sheet to say, there's 100,000 in there, this is how we broke it out, this is what
So
our
to
intent is.
spend it,
So-
take it out for the car, if that was what we had committed it for, that's just a vote at the, at a board
We'd have to
meeting
write a
consider.
resolution to do that.
A resolution or
Yeah.
just a vote?
No,
to consider.
resolution.
Is that what he said?
We still have options to do with it as we see
Right.
fit. It just takes another step, so we don't willy-nilly spend it. when
Exactly.
We think it through before we take
That's
money out of
that's a
that.
lot, I'm surprised it's a resolution instead of just.
I like the idea.
So,
So, a resolution to begin with?
to
or-
create it, yes.
To create it,
And
but
then a transfer of funds like
I'm
we
just
do
wondering.
And
on
then,
the-
once it's
whenever
created, we
do-
can just transfer funds in it.
Okay.
But if we wanted to take those funds out and spend them for something other than what we'd committed
you'd
them
have
to,
to do
then
a
we have to have a resolution.
That's, yeah, let me rephrase my question. So if we wanna spend it for what it was in
Oh,
there for,
no
all
problem.
we gotta do is vote to go do it.
Correct.
Two-thirds
That's-
and-
Correct.
Okay, I don't wanna write a
Yeah.
resolution every time you're turning.
No,
it.
2/3 vote to expend the dollars as they were
Right, and
committed.
if
A
you wanna change that
resolution,
commitment, then I
yeah,
understand.
a resolution to uncommit those funds and spend them on something else would take
I
a
concur.
resolution, so. Okay, good. Gary Hyde obviously will not be in today, Road and Bridge Supervisor. He's on a blade actually plowing snow
Not
today, so.
surprised.
When we get to that, and I didn't bother to amend the motion, to delete Road and Bridge, we'll just make a note of it that he's unavailable,
That's fine.
so. And then I think I already mentioned this, Meredith Nichols from Office of Emergency Manager sent us, I think we all got it, I'm not
Yeah, I
sure,
saw it.
but sent a text to me at least and said she would not be in today, that she's working from home, as is Public Health, their office is closed today.
We
They
didn't
had
have
a,
anything with Meredith today.
no, they had a conference call, actually it was a webinar today, and they were gonna do that at the office, but they decided to do that at home, so that office is closed. And I think that's all I have. Anything else, gentlemen, Commissioner items? Okay. I have nothing to report on Upper Ark.
You just mentioned the Saddle Club Water Workshop at 10, and then we bounced right into Reach. That was all you needed to say about it?
Yeah, we're just meeting at
Okay.
10 o'clock, yep. Sent out invites to everybody. And since Sheriff Byerly stepped in, I want to just quickly readdress an item that Commissioner Kanda reported on today, Shannon, and that was that he spoke with Norp Gas, and they believe that bill's legitimate, that the services were provided. We paid it, as you know, so I think the next step is to get a hold of the subcontractor, which I would ask you to give me that information, and I'll follow up on that. So, we've had some other guests come in. Tom, you want to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. I'm Tom Shepard. I'm a resident. I live down on Centennial Ranch. I've been here for 17 years now.
Wow.
I was a medical provider in Colorado for 40 years, doing emergency medicine, urgent care medicine, occupational medicine. I now serve as a member of the hospital district board. So,
Good. Well, welcome. Thank you for being here, Tom. Appreciate it. Ron, are you staying or are you just flying through?
You know, I don't know. Do
Okay.
I need to stay?
No, not necessarily.
Can.
I,
Well, I'm Ron Beckner,
Yeah.
I live in Bull Domingo, also part of the Saddle Club as well as Chamber of Commerce.
right. Thank you for being here. And just a quick note, we are scheduled for Friday at
Friday?
10 o'clock, yeah.
Good.
Okay. Okay, so I don't have anything to report from Upper Ark. I did get a communication from them, though, that the conference status, or the status conference call is still on the books for April the 10th at 9:45. So shouldn't be a conflict with our commissioner meetings, which originally I thought it was gonna be, so.
Which one was that?
The status conference call.
Status.
Yeah. Attorney items.
Since Friday, I wrote 2 more letters for Jackie Hobby concerning zoning violations. One of them is an ongoing one. I'd written a letter just a few weeks ago, and the person that it was directed to, who lives out in Deweese, the Deweese area, refused to sign for the certified letter, so it looks like she's being uncooperative. And I actually, the one I wrote, I just put it, I signed it myself, I put it in a plain envelope with no return address, to tell her I wanted to be sure she got it. I assumed she would open it out of curiosity. If she saw, planning and zoning on it, she'd probably just throw it away, but. And I told her that if she didn't get this resolved with Jackie, I was gonna come before you at our meeting on the 19th and ask for authorization to proceed with litigation. So that's what I've done.
I guess I've never considered not opening a certified letter. Apparently you don't have to, but.
You can refuse it if you want to.
I send both. Whenever I send a certified, I send a regular mail
Well,
also.
and that's what the zoning regulations call for, whether she sends it certified and a regular, letter. But a lot of times those certified ones come back either unclaimed or refused.
I spoke to Laura yesterday, and she indicated that typically, once they get a certified letter from you, they're in the office the next day or on the phone, certainly. So it's been fairly productive, but in this case, not
Well,
so.
I'm hoping that this one will light a fire under the recipient, because she thinks, she has her own,
So if she never
Opinion.
gets it, then what?
well,
You said we.
Well, she's gotten the other
Can
ones
we take?
before. Well, then the next step is to initiate a lawsuit, civil action. Actually, you can do either way, criminal or civil. I just would do civil.
And she'd refuse the subpoena,
Summons, the sheriff has to go serve a
Summons,
summons on her, and if she doesn't show up, then it's a default judgment, and then we have a lien against the property, and it
Sure.
adds up $100 a day for every day the violation continues. So it get pretty expensive pretty fast.
And as I understand it, there's an issue about a structure built on a property line. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Anything else?
No, it's a,
I wonder if our administrative assistant has anything she'd like to bring before the board at this time? You are, okay. You know,
she's always good.
I've actually thought that you were pretty good. I just wondered if
She
you had
always
any-
rates herself.
had anything. Public comment. We have provide an opportunity for the public to address the board on anything they'd like to speak to that's not on the agenda. So if we have anything that is on anyone's mind, we'll be glad to hear that.
Nobody's bugged
No.
today.
All right.
Well,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to just remind you guys that, Chamber of Commerce does have the finditInCusterCounty.com. We did speak with the Colorado Tourism Office, and that site is now connected to them. We also got our Google demographics back, and in the past 12 months on the finditInCusterCounty.com, we had 57,000 hits on our main.
My word.
That's 4,500 hits per month on average. So we're really getting our word out about the county. I'm gonna come in, here in a couple weeks. I guess it'll be in Wetmore, and I'm gonna talk to you guys more about that. But
Okay.
I just wanted you guys to hear the numbers
Okay.
that we've been getting back.
Cool.
Also, the chamber, dues increased by 72% in 1 year.
Not the dues, but the membership.
Or due membership.
Yeah,
The
you
revenue.
didn't increase your dues by
No,
that much, but your
that's
membership.
what we got because
Nice.
of the increase in membership.
Nice, good.
That's
Increase of
wonderful.
Wow, well, you're
72%.
doing a great job.
So can we borrow $600?
Well, we're gonna have to talk to Renee about that.
Okay.
I know you have a record of this. One of those 57,000 hits was yours truly, right? I mean, you have a record of that, right? You
Well,
know that I
I
was
do
one of
now.
the, oh,
I do
okay,
now.
but not before that.
Thanks for volunteering that.
Yeah, I looked at that
County needs
website.
to join.
It was nice. It's good, so. Well, excellent. I know you have worked tirelessly to get some forward momentum with that Chamber of Commerce office, and I think you're doing a good job. Certainly it speaks to it if you've had that kind of increase in your membership, so, yeah.
Hey,
Thank you,
since you
Ron.
brought it up, I got a
Appreciate it.
comment on that too.
Yes, sir.
I attended the rural counties, meeting they had at the state, and in it, the director of, tourism had a great presentation, and, that was, how do you advertise, how do you promote a county, how do you promote cities and that kind of thing. So big presentation, I asked her to send it to me, and it's a website, it's a presentation you have to actually click on, so I'd like, why don't you send me your email address if you
Okay.
can, and I'll send it to you and Deb Adams, the tourism board as well.
Perfect. Thank you. I'll give it to the administrative assistant, and that way you guys can have it.
Perfect. All right, anything else, public comment? Not, we'll move on. Staff reports. Landfill, Mr. Rusty, AKA Rooster. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are ya? Love to see that gray bag, too.
Yeah. Morning.
You're wearing a Rockies hat, it's too cold for that hat.
Too cold for it.
Thank you for coming in. I'm sure you have other things you probably should be doing, but
Yeah.
a little wild out there this morning, huh?
Yeah. Gotta get all the snow plowed, so there's only 2 of us, so it's
You're both in here.
crazy.
Well, I'm sure Bill's still out there laboring away this morning.
Yeah,
huh?
he is. Yeah.
Yeah, so we got your documentation. Thank you. Appreciate that. And obviously, I spoke to the $11,144 that will be transferred to that committed fund balance. So,
That's good.
gentlemen, if you remember, we had a mutual agreement with the landfill to commit $1 per commercial cubic yard of refuse to go into the landfill expansion fund. So, we have that up and running. Is that the only dollars we've committed that you're aware of? Because I don't think we've done anything
think
else.
that's it.
So,
Yeah, I think that is it.
okay,
You have the numbers for 2018 if you want to see those.
okay, yeah, great, thank you.
Found two that,
Yeah, that was,
To the expansion fund. Was that from 18s or no?
yes.
May of 2018.
Is that when, I could go back and research that, is that when we just made that decision? Thank you,
On
sir.
the bottom.
You're right on the money.
Bottom of the page. there.
Correct, we talked about this, didn't we?
Right.
So, yeah, May 1, 2018. Motion by Commissioner Prince that starting May 1, 2018, the excess revenue from the landfill and recycling be set aside in a fund for future landfill. So there was, and then the motion carried. So there was actually two, well, that motion was in effect for the second half of
year.
2018 and all of 2019
So is
will
there
be
any-
in effect. So we need to go back then,
This
so,
one too, if you want it.
yes, if you don't mind. Thank you, sir.
So the 11,144, that's just for 2019,
That's
is that right?
correct, yeah.
So we can go back and maybe bolster that with half of 2018?
Yes, that is my understanding. That's
How
what
did
we
you,
should
how
be
did you
doing.
state
And
the
the
motion? It could be
11
the whole year.
The 11,000, I think, is just from the dollar.
That's right,
That's the
Yeah.
dollar.
yes.
Right,
And that other is from excess from the
recycling.
recycling.
Oh, that is true. You're
It's
right.
two
Thank you.
different things.
Got it.
So we're
Yeah,
taking all of it
so,
then by that motion,
um,
any excess.
Yeah, so let me read this motion from October 31 of 18. Motion by Commissioner Flower to increase the cost for all commercial vehicles to $9.30 a cubic yard to go into effect January 1 and to set aside the additional revenue that it generates to go into a separate fund to be used for landfill expansion. So we are
Why we
dealing
take
with
it
two
back there?
with two separate entities. I guess my question is, how do we know?
What did the first
Let me
motion,
see.
how was it stated?
The first motion was that starting May 1, the excess revenue. So that's my question, but from the landfill and recycling be set aside in a fund. How do we determine excess revenue? We never really talked about that, I don't think.
Till the end.
Does that mean all revenues from recycling? Mr. Dennis, you have a thought about that?
I think it should go into the landfill account, instead of general fund.
Okay. Is there other excess revenue? I wonder about the wording of that now that we're actually kind of delving into that.
We could probably listen to that audio from that
Okay,
meeting.
yeah.
But,
I think it would just be the sale of cardboard,
And,
metal, and aluminum.
okay. So really, we probably should put revenue from the landfill cubic yard, commercial cubic yard, right? I mean, we know that now, but we might not know that in 3 or 4 years.
did you have a carryover?
In our budget,
That could be due to the excess revenue.
Yeah.
Go in the pot.
8,000, I
General
think.
fund.
516 and
To me, that would be a
1031.
good inseam of that, what you didn't spend to go into the pot for land
Yeah,
expense.
because whatever's left in the budget just goes back. to
Right,
the
it's
back.
zero based. You don't really have carryover,
That's,
no.
that's what I mean, though, it goes into that general fund, why don't we put it into the pot instead of, it goes to the general fund, but it's in a fenced pot, seems to me, right?
We've been doing that for years. There would
Oh,
be
well,
some
yeah,
money in there.
clearly. Yes, ma'am.
Look at page 2. He's got it broken down with 17,007's going to the expansion. Added to the 11,144 is the recycling.
Yeah, recycling in the cubic yards.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So that balance, really, that's what
That's
should
the
be in,
total.
that's what we
That
should
should be
transfer to the.
17,000 needs to be
Right.
moved, not 11.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. So really, it is the additional dollar per commercial cubic yard
Right,
and recycling,
Recycling.
period. All
Right.
of recycling, right?
correct.
So really, our wording on that says excess revenue is a little confusing there. So I don't know if we want to address that now or do a little more research, but pretty clear to me that that was the intent.
Yeah, yeah.
And so for every commercial cubic yard, and you track those obviously,
Right.
we should be
Right.
transferring annually $8 per yard plus all of the revenue from recycling.
Right.
Thank you for bringing those in, that helped
Sure.
too. I know we talked about this at the landfill the other day, but, went through so, could you read that amount? Well, I've got it right here, sorry. So really, we should be looking at transferring $17,716.35.
I agree.
I got a copy of it.
Okay, so that's the number we need to hang on to.
Yeah. And I need to talk with, Susie, because I was thinking that I don't think I'll.
Yeah, the thing I spoke to earlier about the committed fund balance, that really is between us and the treasurer's office.
Right.
Eventually Donna will track that,
Yeah.
but it is the
But
treasurer's
usually we don't
transaction.
transfer it in, we transfer it out.
Out of general fund.
And so I'll talk to her and see. what
Okay.
we're gonna do.
Yeah, we,
She just, when it comes in, she just knows that it goes into that fund.
Right,
So she
and-
keeps track of it.
that being said, I wonder, we don't have to do it during the staff report of landfill, but I think before the day is out, we probably need to, well, we could do it tomorrow. We can write a resolution and we can bring that up during commissioner items. Because if you have that conversation with her, she'll say, what fund? Because we haven't created it yet. We need to create that via a resolution, so.
We can do it tomorrow, you know, the agenda.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting ready to ask Ms. Kara, so.
I was gonna say, we might have to do it on.
No, we can do it tomorrow, because we won't get to new business until after 9:30, so. Is your internet down?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check. So tomorrow, could we add in a new business, consideration of creating a committed fund balance? Then we can have that conversation, but that's the number we need to track, and that'll get us cleaned up through 2019.
There you go.
Is that Makes sense, okay, good,
Do you
thank
wanna
you.
put a resolution number down?
Yeah, I don't know, what, 20-05? Uh-huh, I think that would be,
Aye.
yeah. So we'll work on that maybe, Clint, if you have a second after the meeting, maybe we can jot something down or.
Okay.
Very good. All right, sir, sorry about that. So this is your 2019 finals that you sent us.
Right, right. So that'll work out good for the landfill, I think.
I wanted to go on record publicly that I was not ever invited to get into the new skid steer. I took a little offense at that. I didn't indicate it at the time. But I did go and look at our new skid steer. Very cool. Of course, Rusty got in it right away, but didn't invite me.
There's probably some logic.
I'm
in that.
thinking that.
You were looking a little clean.
Well, that skid steer was looking pretty clean, but yeah, I'm very excited about that. Rusty had some work done on the, I always call it the headache rack of the forks, so that when they lift those bales up, that they put some additional
Extended so you didn't get.
grade up there so
Put
they
a bale up.
come down on the
Cardboard.
deal, but.
Yeah, you don't need one coming through
Yeah.
the door at you.
Yeah, so, yeah, that was, I'm still pretty excited about that. I think that was a cool deal. We were able to purchase a brand-new skid steer for landfill on a Colorado Department of Health and, Public Health and Environmental grant, so.
Recycling grant,
Recycling grant, yeah, so, very cool.
great thing, yeah.
Go ahead, sir, I'm done, the floor is yours.
I think that's about all that's going on. We just, of course, we have snow, so I gotta get back out there.
You would be willing to serve on an interview committee for new manager position?
You wanted some questions?
I did. That's going to be my next question, thank you. Miss Donna was asking me about these, and I said,
Oh.
I haven't seen them yet, but I'll bet they're forthcoming, so. Yeah, so I think, gentlemen, don't you by consent, would like to invite Rusty to sit in on those interviews.
Oh, absolutely.
And
When will
so,
they be?
well, we're going to talk about that, don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
So I say we're going to
We'll
talk
let you
about it,
know.
maybe we ought to talk about it right now, because we kind of need to get schedules confirmed. We're going to decide today on how many to interview. I believe regardless of that number, we should be able to conduct all those interviews in one day. Do you have a preference, sir, of a date?
I don't know, like I said, you're shorthanded out there, so kind of tricky.
What days are you closed?
Monday.
Monday.
Would you want to do it on a Monday?
I could,
Thank you. Appreciate your willingness to come in on your day off. I would
dig me
guess,
to the end.
pardon? Add it to the end?
Commitment is commitment.
Commitment to
Oh,
the end.
yeah, that's right. I would anticipate a half a day, no longer than a half a day is my
Well, it
guess.
depends on how many people we
Right.
interview, and we haven't discussed that.
Right, so,
So we have 5 candidates, is that
Um,
correct?
no, 6.
6?
6.
Um,
Yeah, if you decide on a Monday, that's fine, I'll come over.
Unless one or two of them qualify.
I've got a meeting on the 24th, Central Front Range Transportation and Planning Region. The 17th is a holiday. And I'm out of town on the 9th, 10th, and 11th, so I don't know.
You know, President's Day may be a good day to do it, since if any of these persons who are interviewing don't have to lose a day's pay or call it sick or
President's
whatever.
Day is a holiday.
Yes.
Just a thought.
What about a non-Monday? Could you squeeze out a half a day? Max?
Wednesday, a no-wind Wednesday.
Okay.
If you can figure that
No
day
wind
out,
Wednesday, that'll never happen.
that'll never happen. You gotta have 2 guys out there when it's windy, so.
Okay. Man,
Say the sooner the better.
Yeah.
I'd like to get whoever we select
Right.
to work with you as long as
I'm afraid the 12th would be a little early to try to pull everybody together. We have a commissioner meeting on Wednesday. I have a weed board meeting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon here, so
What
that's
about the
probably.
14th?
Um,
We have Upper Rocco on the 13th, that's why I'm asking.
yeah, I'm out of town on the 14th. How about Tuesday, the 18th?
Works for me.
Because that's your day, first day back, isn't it?
Tuesdays are tough because that's a busy day.
How about Thursday, the 20th?
Could try it.
Right now, we need a tentative date to give to Donna to see if she can line up interviews once we indicate how many and who we're gonna interview.
Oh, sorry, Clint, I was trying to look through you there, but
I've got a big Napa calendar that you can read from over here that I should. Oh, no, maybe we better not, come to think of it. Okay, so there wasn't any humor in that. All right, let's tentatively then, let's try for the 20th. Morning or afternoon, sir?
morning.
Okay. 9 o'clock? Okay. Gentlemen?
An airport board meeting.
Yeah, and I was gonna address that real quick. Starting February the 20th, the airport board meetings have been moved to evening meetings,
Yeah, I
so
got
it's
it
at
at
5,
6, so I was-
5:30. Yeah,
Why have it at 6?
yeah, it's 5:30, so. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, 5.
Let me check.
Mine is not, mine's down.
So that's been moved.
Yeah, that's been moved to,
Evidently got it right, 'cause it said 5:30.
You said 9:30 on the, for the
9 o'clock
9 o'clock.
on the interviews on the 20th. Why?
Is yours working,
Just a
Karen?
second.
Your internet working?
Mine is.
Isn't that weird?
Hold on, we'll find out if it's, yeah, mine's working. It could be, sorry, my palm was itching, scratching. Oh, really? I don't think so. All right, let's plan on that then, the 20th in the morning. Does that work?
Okay.
Now, it could blow up. She might not be able to get the interviewees, but at least we have a tentative date we can shoot for.
Okay.
And gentlemen, you okay with inviting Miss Donna to sit in on those interviews as well?
I would insist on it.
So that was one of the things I thought we probably needed to solidify was the interview committee, then will be the 3 commissioners, landfill manager, and human resource officer. Okay?
Okay.
Anything else, sir? I will
That'll do it.
deal with these, thank you.
Okay.
We may add to or whatever, but
Yeah.
appreciate the input there. All right, sir, thank you,
Okay,
appreciate it.
Dennis is here with the recycling report.
Okay, we'll listen to him real
Okay.
quick as part of the landfill/recycling. Thank you, sir. Mr. Spratt, by golly, good morning, how are you?
Mine's really fast, so.
Well, it can't be fast enough that you can't take time to have a seat, too, though, by golly.
Have a short, you all get a copy here.
Okay. Do you get to drive the skid steer?
I do.
Nice. Well,
I'm
you're,
the skid steer operator.
you've got one up on me then, sir. Okay,
Basically, this is just my report for, this last year. Was a slow year as far as, price goes. It was a down year, but it's industry-wide. So we didn't bring in near as much money as we normally do for,
okay.
it's kinda disappointing, but it is recycling back up.
So if you don't mind me sharing a little bit, your report, this is for 2019, said that your recycling department sold 214,680 pounds of cardboard.
Correct.
So that's pretty cool. That's a lot of cardboard that did not go in our
It's all done by
landfill.
hand.
Yeah, and it's all done by hand, that's right. Literally, put in the baler by hand, and so, we generated.
I have 4 or 5 pretty consistent volunteers. That help
Okay.
me, so.
Well, that price per ton sure fluctuates all through the year, though.
Yeah, I haven't checked for this month yet, but it's back up to, I think, 35.
Started off at 95.
Industry standards are really, it's just terrible. There's no infrastructure ever since, ours goes for cardboard, or for drywall, and you would think that drywall would be selling a lot, but it's really slow.
Yeah, building.
Well, yeah, as Commissioner Kanda indicated, in January, cardboard was worth $95 a ton, and in November, it was $25 a ton. It averaged out $39 a ton.
They were stocking it in warehouses, and all the plants went down on maintenance. But they are picking back up. It is slowly coming back, and hopefully it'll get back up to a decent price. Which to me, $100 is a decent price, and
Oh, man, yeah, that'd be great.
then it would be worthwhile. But we'll continue. We still kept out 477 cubic yards of compressed cardboard out of the landfill. So think of 6 semi trucks or 5 semi loads of cardboard
Yeah.
kept out of the
So each bale is over a cubic yard, isn't it? Because they're,
1.75.
yeah, I was gonna say almost 2 cubic yards from looking at the size of them.
That's compressed cardboard. It's
Right.
different.
Right, that's in the bale.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to share with us the name of your volunteers that kind of you have on a regular basis?
Well, I have Steve Laswell, Mayor,
Mhm.
Jack. He's just an independent guy, and then Kathy. She's just another volunteer, and he's not there right now because he had his ankle worked on, and as Bob told him, he's a big
Oh,
volunteer.
really? Okay, I didn't know that. Cool. Well, if you get the chance, would you thank them on our behalf? I mean, that's pretty cool for them to come out there and help you. So, generates some revenue, obviously, but I think almost as importantly, it keeps that cardboard out of the landfill.
And I also take, which is, I think everybody knows, I take paper to Salida, 18,000 pounds this last year. It's computer paper, magazines, of that sort. Usually it's unrecycled paper, it's never been recycled before, and they, believe it or not, they make toilet paper out of it.
Oh, be darned. Wow,
So,
cool.
I mean, little tidbits of information. We might be getting it back, I don't know.
Anything new with plastics, or is that still?
Plastic there's nothing with plastic yet. 1s and 2s, which is milk jugs and plastic bottles. Everything else is being landfilled.
You know, and Dennis made an interesting comment to me. I had this conversation with my wife the other day, and I think it's appropriate to bring it up, that certainly maybe with the exception of plastic number 1s and number 2s, plastic is going into the landfills. It may not be going into ours, correct, if it's recycled,
Local.
but
Yeah.
eventually, because nobody's buying plastic, right? I mean, it's not going to China.
No, it's not going to China. They're not dumping it in the middle of the ocean now like they did before. They get there and they found out they didn't have a place to, so they throw it in the ocean. And, a lot of times it's on the west side of the ocean. It's not on our side.
So, you know, I still would encourage people to try to recycle their plastic because maybe that market will change, but
Yeah,
right now.
we're hoping the infrastructure's coming around, but there's no infrastructure. Everything went overseas into China. Everything.
So
And,
if people recycle plastic in our county,
yes, we do recycle over here at the altitude.
right,
You sell by the bag, and it's a single stream where all plastic goes in it. But then
Fire
we take out
department.
1 and 2. Yeah, it's just that plastic. No, there's the only plastic. No plastic.
no
going in.
plastic down there? Okay.
Anything that's free is like at the landfill and at the dome and out at the landfill. It's all free. Cans, bottles, paper, cardboard, all that is free.
Free meaning,
Free to get rid of it.
oh, right,
No
yeah.
cost involved.
So local recycled plastic, does it end up in our landfill?
Yes.
That's
Except
the
for
hard,
bottom.
cold truth, except ones and twos. You sort out ones and twos?
No,
Okay.
it goes down to Pueblo, and they actually get rid of everything else.
So they sort down there.
They sort down there,
So our plastic that's recycled here goes to Pueblo?
yes.
Okay,
Anything that does not go into the recycle is going into the landfill.
right. Correct. But if it is recycled plastic, it's going out of the county?
Right.
And they sort it, whatever they do with it.
And
but
it costs, that's a fee involved with
We
that.
pay for that?
No.
Okay.
Take it out of the price.
It's just a fee, there's $2 goes to the recycling, and $1 goes to Altitude for the privilege of using their parking lot and their building and everything. And
So-
they handle the bags and all that sort of,
So that's based on weight?
no,
It's just the
based
event.
on bags.
Bags, okay. So there is some revenue from
There
that
is some
plastic.
revenue,
I think the critical
but
point
it doesn't
was-
come to us. The only
Right.
thing that comes to us is cardboard.
Right.
And steel.
Yeah.
And those are the
Okay.
really
So the
two
point I
things.
wanted to clarify, because I've had people ask me what's happening to the plastic from Custer County that's being recycled. It is going to Pueblo.
Those who volunteer or want to take it out of the county, buy bags, and it is sent out of the county and recycled.
Okay, all right, okay.
And if a market comes up for the other numbered plastic, then it would go to,
Okay.
at the moment, ones and twos are the only thing that are going.
And we're not sorting any plastic
We're
here,
not
it all
sorting
goes
any
to
plastic, that
Pueblo.
would be pretty hard to do,
Okay, good. So we need to still encourage people to recycle plastic.
yes.
Keep it out of our landfill,
Keep it
number
out of
one.
our landfill.
And it does
Because if
generate
they
a
bring it
little
into the
revenue.
landfill, it costs the same amount to throw it away as to recycle
Right.
it, so why not recycle?
Okay, good. All right, sir, thank you.
That's all I have.
Very good. Well, hopefully we continue to encourage people to recycle, certainly cardboard to keep it out of that landfill.
Cardboard is our big
deal.
That is, it'll come back.
Yeah. Okay.
And we will have more revenue for the general fund.
And then you heard conversation this morning, obviously, the recycling funds are gonna be earmarked for the landfill expansion, and so that will help us.
Well, I've put like $80,000 into the general fund just to recycle cardboard over the last 8-9 years, so
Nice.
something to that.
All right, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You need this back or no? Okay, thanks,
If
Ben.
you want it, I'll
Appreciate
take it back.
No, we're good.
They'll recycle it.
Yeah, I'll recycle. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming in this morning. Have a good day. All right. Let me just get caught up here a little bit.
She's here. Way to go.
Yeah, I'm here.
So you fought your way down from Silver Cliff.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Okay, Department of Human Services, Ms. Laura, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm okay.
Fine as frog's hair?
Yeah,
I thought so.
it's the first time I've been here since you got, I know, this is the first time since I've been here since you got the new setup.
Oh, it is, that's right, okay.
Yes,
Well,
that
welcome.
is on my level.
Yes, and you might take
Let
note
that get
that
around.
he has a coaster for his coffee cup.
Yes. But he knitted himself.
I
My
do have a guest
cohorts
coaster.
Have not, you have a
What is
guest
that?
coaster?
I have a guest coaster.
Would you
Oh,
care to
boy.
make a presentation, sir? 'Cause yeah, okay.
Oh, did you use one of those little knitting
Yes, he
machines?
did.
No, I
Isn't
didn't
that
do this.
nice?
It's a friend of mine.
He let us know right away that he did not make those, but a friend of
Yeah.
his did. Welcome.
My kids did this one sometime when they were in school or something.
I got you.
So did Clint.
Oh,
I'm
Um,
not talented in it. That's why I became a lawyer.
I feel like
As-
I'm gonna have this stain in my,
As growing up,
Aye, in a
my
minute.
All right.
father said, if you can't go and have a little fun along the way, you might as well stay home.
well,
So
this is true.
we like to have, at anybody's expense, we don't really care.
No, I know I don't. Can even be at mine, I don't care.
All right, it might be, yes. So we've received your documentation, thank you for
Yes, and
sending
are
that
you
to
on the
us.
first page there? Are
I
you-
am, yes, yep. Mhm.
Because that's,
We all are.
we all are.
I can't speak for these gentlemen, but I am,
Okay.
so.
And the admin, which I was very concerned about because of so much travel that we were doing. And so, yeah, we went over, but by only 3,000, so I was amazed it was that low,
Right.
because we were on the road so much this year.
And may I interject, in travel, that certainly includes reimbursement for personal mileage.
Yes, yes, it is, trainings, because, new caseworker came on, and we had, that includes motel rooms, food, all of that stuff, because she was all over the county, all over the state doing trainings and stuff, besides, all of the foster care, visitations that we were doing, Colorado Springs, and we have to go to Denver, and all that good stuff. So, yeah, it was a lot. We had a lot of visitations and for foster care, and I was concerned, but we were over by just a little bit, so that was good. I just wanted to point that out.
Politically speaking, if you had a vehicle, we would hope that that transportation cost would go down.
Down, oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because, I mean, I'm gonna send it in for reimbursement to the state for the mileage.
Right.
But yes, it would go down for the county side of it's
Right.
gonna go down. You
Okay,
bet.
thank you.
We're just gonna get a reimbursement, there won't be a expense to the county on that, so.
Good.
And then the A&D is over by a little bit, but that's not a big deal, so. Okay,
Mhm.
that was my big thing. And then everything else, like old age pension, that's 100%, and that's nothing. So, my next one. And then the leap season is just started, so, and that's 100%, so that's.
Okay.
And then Medicaid transportation, everything that we paid out, we reimbursed, so, good. And then community service block grant, and we're on a 3-year grant with that one, but this year we've had 21 payments and, were made in 2019, so. We still have some funding left, and we're gonna get a little bit more, so we should be okay for this year, 2020. EOC, we're just starting on that one, doing okay.
That's in October
October
through
through
September.
September, yep. Oh, I need to change that date, no, it's okay. Yeah, I thought, oh, that date's wrong, no, it's not, it's okay. And then, food benefits, they fluctuate all the time, but I was able to get that little chart onto where it says number of households receiving food assistance. That little chart off to the side that had the months on there
Yes.
wasn't what we got it on there. Took a little bit, but we got it
Yeah,
on there.
cool.
It's like,
Yeah,
why would-
because
we couldn't
we
get
didn't
it
have
to-
that last time.
No,
did
it was
we?
cutting
So,
it off.
yeah.
And we would move it, and then it would cut it off, and then we would move it, and it would take it away. But Stacy worked with it, and we finally got it to stay. It's like, come on, stay there.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's really on a trifold thing.
Yeah.
The amount, the number of households, and by the month.
And by the month,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny. We was like, come on, stay put. And then our TFAB. And that just shows what we did for last year. And for the month of February, this month, I am not going to do commodity TFAB distribution because I was only getting 4 items and not very much at all. So I'm not going to do a distribution. I let the people know on January when they came. I also gave them a list of the dates that we would be doing the distributions, and I told them we would not be doing that. So I'll get a allocation for March too, so between February and March, it should be up. I just don't think there's a lot of food out there right now. So it's just, they were to get 2 cans of peaches, spaghetti, and it was just like, that's just not worth them for them to come in. So I'm hoping we'll give a big one in March. So if you hear anything about that, that's why. But they'll be coming in next Monday, so I'll just have them in the storeroom, and we'll just do a big one at the end.
Good.
Okay?
Yeah.
Any questions?
Oh, yes. Commissioner Prince.
The way you go, oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, we got questions.
Oh, okay.
He's on.
I am
Yeah,
kind of
you
on the roll.
know.
Must be the weather.
Some people's kids, as they say.
I'm sure there's a logical answer for this.
Probably not, but no.
I noticed the leap we gave out in November,
Uh-huh.
40,000, and in December, 5,000.
Well, because in November, we do, the benefit actually starts, we can start taking applications in October. So we're actually getting applications for October and November, but we don't do a payroll. It doesn't actually pay them until November. So that's why. And so, yeah, and so, yeah, then you're only gonna see 21, and then you're gonna see, in February, you're gonna see a big amount too. Because we also do a supplement, we do 2 payments, and the next one comes down in February.
I'll probably forget and ask you.
Yes,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a good point. I'm kind
Yeah.
of skimmed over that, but 134 payments representing that
Uh-huh.
39,000 and 21 payments
Right.
representing the 6,000.
and that's
So-
where, it sends out applications to anybody that received LEAP last year. And so they can start bringing them in October, so that we have time to get them processed for that November payroll
November, yeah.
runs. And so they've done that for a few years now. And so we get the bulk of them in November, so that's why.
Thank you.
Uh-huh, that was it?
That was my question.
Oh, okay.
It's the only anomaly
Well, no, but
wasn't
he's,
an anomaly, it just looked out of place
yeah,
to me.
but him going, oh, yes, we have questions.
Well, go for it, it's your turn.
Setting her up. I did not bring this up during commissioner reports because I wanted to talk about it during your staff report, and that is the vehicle
Yes.
situation.
The
We had
vehicle situation.
We had made a decision, gentlemen, as you recall, to commit a vehicle that was coming off of the sheriff's inventory to Human Services. That vehicle went to Road and Bridge. They did strip out all the sheriff's equipment out of there. I went down and looked at it yesterday. They've got some issues with that vehicle. I spoke with Laura about this.
Mechanical.
Mechanical. She decided to decline the offer of that van. It's a 1990 8-passenger van. We could dump some money into it, but it's still got 140,000 miles on it, and I just think generally the idea was it's probably not in the best interest to transport not only our employees, but their children that they transport around out of the county. So Laura said, you know what, maybe we better just try to do something different. I happen to agree with her, as did Byron down at the county road and bridge shop. So that vehicle is, I just asked them to button it back up. They had the wheels off. It needs brakes, it needs inner front axle seals, needs a main seal on the transmission, new muffler and exhaust. It's a welded system, so we'd have to send that out to have it done. So I just don't think it makes financial sense to put another $3,000 or $4,000 into that van. So at some point, I think we need to consider what we want to do with that van. I had talked to Sheriff Byerly. Because they have gutted it and taken all the stuff out of it, it's probably not cost efficient to put that back in. So we now have another vehicle on inventory. Mr. Byerly, would you be amenable to parking that back over into your fenced lot until we can decide what to do with it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. I will let Road and Bridge know that, yes, sir.
If we have no plans for it, last meeting, we had Valley Assisted Living request, because they own a van, or we're in the process of transferring it to them, but they own a van that has almost 300,000 miles. So rather than just have it sit
How many seats
wasted,
does it
I
have,
would
Shane?
be in favor of donating it to them.
I'm sorry?
How many seats does it have?
8?
Yeah, you could probably put,
There's 2 rows of seats,
7 plus the driver.
and then there's the 2 seats in the front.
Okay, that's pretty
so
good.
yeah,
That's
you
better.
could get 8 in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that. Laura and I actually talked about that. I don't have a problem making an offer to them, but the same principles apply. Is it gonna be worthy to send out of the county? But I guess if we're willing to quote unquote donate that vehicle to them, they can make that
They can make-
determination.
That's what I would
I
think.
think we ought to make the offer.
We don't have, is there there any other organizations also asking for a vehicle at this point?
Not that I'm aware of.
Then I'd rather see it in use than parked.
That's okay.
Yeah,
And,
you know, the trade-in value on it's gonna be minimal.
I'd say
it's
just
junk
donate it to them if
value.
they want it. They may not want it.
What year was that?
1990.
90?
It's a little concerning, up until we transferred it over to you to go to DHS, we were taking it all over the state, and we were never told that there was anything wrong with that vehicle.
Yeah, I don't think.
Which is a little concerning to me that we're taking it in for maintenance and we're not being advised that it's not road safe. That's,
Concerning.
I know that's a different topic, but
Do we, is it because
That's a
they
red flag to
weren't
me.
watching it, or, I mean, or that it didn't
I
matter?
can't speak for the maintenance folks. I'm not a mechanic.
Yeah, I think, we won't delve into it today, but I think there will be a time when we need to visit with Gary Hyde about what are the policies concerning county-owned vehicles and the maintenance and all of that, so.
Yeah, we need to ask him, but I can't imagine you put a road pickup on the road and not have it safe for your own needs. They've gotta have something, but we'll have to find out.
It's kind of beyond the scope of where we are
Yeah,
right
exactly.
now, but
Right.
that is a
But I'm
discussion
just
we
saying,
really ought to have.
I think we ought to,
Matter of fact, I'll ask him, bring him in the next meeting.
so.
Talk to him about it, 'cause I gotta talk to him about that tonight.
Good.
So the other thing then, to follow up, I asked Miss Laura what it would look like if we bought a new vehicle. Would we get some assistance from the state on paying for that? And I can let her speak to that. I don't know if you had a chance to follow up or not.
No. Yesterday was a Monday,
Yeah.
and it was the first Monday of the month, which is always bad. But, the state will reimburse, if you buy the vehicle, the state will reimburse 1/5 of the value for 5 years.
Per year?
Per
for
year,
5
per
years.
year, per year.
it's
so
back.
they
We'll
will-
get all the money back. It'll just
You
take
get
5
all the
years.
money back, it just takes 5 years. But you have to have the money up front to pay for the
I don't
vehicle.
have an issue with this.
So
We'll
that,
have to lease it because of Tabor, but, well, no, we can't
No, we don't. We
finance it
buy
for
it
5
outright.
years.
No, we can
Oh, we
buy
buy
it.
it
You
out.
buy it outright.
Buy
and
it
get
outright, and then
reimbursed.
they pay back.
Yeah,
They
you-
lease it back from us.
yeah, you buy it, and then they just reimburse us. But it takes them 5 years. I'm not sure why that is, but that's just how it is.
So I asked Laura what, if she had a vehicle in mind, and they had several they talked about, the girls in the office, ladies in the office, but the first vehicle they mentioned was a Chevrolet Traverse. So I reached out to a Chevrolet dealer and indicated that we might be in the market of purchasing a new vehicle. And he said, okay, what are you looking for? I said, well, we need a 8-passenger, preferably all-wheel drive. And he said, you might not believe this, but he said, I have a Chevrolet Traverse all-wheel drive on the lot that just had received that on their lot. So I asked him if he could shoot us a price. He did that. I got it back
Oh,
this
did
morning.
you?
That's
Oh,
why I
okay.
got my phone out
Oh,
and
okay.
checked. So, I'm gonna share this information. I won't share the dealership until it's appropriate, but the selling discounted price is $34,790. Plus we have a $249 dealer fee, which brings us to $35,039. Then there is a $2,500 rebate that comes off of that price. So out the door, assuming it's tax exempt, would be $32,539 for a 2020 all-wheel drive. He included some photographs before, and I had showed those to Laura as well, but I'll just, if you want to scroll down, you can look at those pictures
Where
real
would we
quick.
get the money for that?
So that's a question I spoke with Donna and Laura about yesterday. It would really need to come out of her budget so that we're eligible for that reimbursement. Donna and I looked at that budget. Obviously Laura was kind of hooked up yesterday, so I just talked to her. I didn't really sit down and look at the budget, but she believes there's room in that budget to procure that vehicle. I'm not.
Add your budget by $30,000
No.
a year?
That's exactly what I was
No.
Come on,
thinking.
Laura.
No, and if you guys will remember, you cut my budget, so, and,
I thought we cut it $30,000.
no, what, you probably did. Yes, you
There's
probably.
other circumstances.
There's other things
in
going
play
on,
that
and then, yes, and
budget.
then I do have this, if, Oh.
Is hit on cancel.
this little pot of money that I get, and it's not county money, it's reimbursement for stuff, and so I could use some of that if needed to purchase a vehicle.
Is
So,
that an 8-passenger or a
Yes.
5-passenger?
yeah, it's supposed to be an 8
2
passenger.
rows of 3 in the front, 2 seats.
Well, I will tell you, if she has the money and we're gonna get reimbursed over a period of time,
Be silly not to.
you absolutely have to have a vehicle that I believe from day one. I think this is an opportune time. The only thing I would suggest is maybe speaking to a few other dealers.
Sure.
Just to make sure
Oh,
that
you
we
bet.
don't have,
And we had a couple other, 8-passenger vehicles that we had made a list, we didn't talk to anybody, I mean, we haven't priced them or anything, but that's something we can do.
Shannon's got
looking
a
at
question.
32,005
Yes,
seems like
it's-
for a 2020
It
nowadays.
seems like it's a good deal to me.
Seems like it, but I don't know.
Me either,
Seems
but
like it.
seems like it.
What you got, Shannon?
Well, you just might reach out to some dealerships that handle the state bids, because a state bid, I bet you is cheaper.
I'll bet you're right. That's why I was bringing it up.
Right.
How do you
I mean,
find it?
I don't know if you wanna just go with a, more local dealership, but you may just wanna consider that.
Yeah, I think to be fiscally
Oh,
responsible,
yeah.
we need to.
We just
explore
can't
that.
just- But who does the state bids, Shannon?
So several dealerships do, I mean, I could get you a list of those if you'd like, Laura.
Sure.
I-
Oh, that'd be
I have
great.
the list at the office.
That'd be
Okay.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're into that. You've been
Well, yeah,
shopping
that's-
for
that's what
cars
we use,
lately.
And I mean, we're buying those Durangos.
Yeah,
and
left
they're
and right.
cheaper than that, so.
okay, that would be
So
great.
we would follow up with Sheriff Byerly?
Yeah, if he brings me, we can look at it and we'll
Good.
take a look and see.
Good, I think we need.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer.
We need to
our
get
money
the,
back,
and the biggest,
so-
one of the biggest concerns is us transporting kids in our personal vehicles.
Right.
Because of the liability that's on that,
We are
it's
100%
huge,
with you.
huge
We're with you.
for us on that, so,
Yeah.
okay,
All right, thank you.
all right.
Thank you,
Appreciate
ma'am.
it.
Good job of whining.
Oh, I know, I was practicing. Thank you,
Yes, ma'am, thank you
and
for
thank
coming
you,
in.
this
Appreciate
is
it.
so nice. I mean, I'm not gonna take it, it's for the kids. It's very nice, Clint.
Okay. Mr. John, good morning, sir. Veteran Service Office. How are you?
I'll straight this way and go around.
Work your way up.
Thanks, John.
Quite the table now.
Yeah, thank you. How's things in your world?
As far as clients and stuff, not very busy this month for January. I have been getting quite a few new clients, so that's good. We're hoping for some good feedback from the 2020 census as far as veterans are concerned, if they will actually answer the question about the veteran status. The two big things, obviously the food drive that we did, or not food drive, but the food distribution we did last Saturday.
Unbelievable.
That was over 730 people that we were able to feed. I've been working with Laura and Stacy as far as making sure that I'm coordinating with them. I had mentioned a few months ago that I was looking for a different envelope or umbrella as far as the food bank in my office to make sure that I'm, legal and following the rules and all of that. My neighbor's cupboard, the one that brought that semi up here, is now using my office as a satellite. They're also going to cover the sheriff as far as food for the jail.
Wow.
So I will be inspected, have, dated
Keep
food.
everything up to date.
Everything's good.
It's just
Yesterday we did a
huge.
trailer load of garbage and broken chairs out of the basement to
Saw that.
start prepping for
Hey,
that.
who'd you have helping you? You said you.
Bill Hitt was doing all that, so hopefully he didn't have to pay for anything at the dump. The big thing that I have in the works, and this is going to be working for the next few months obviously, but we've been approached, the VFW has been approached, and I mentioned it to the American Legion yesterday, but we are going to start planning a possible Veterans Day parade and try to make it as big as possible, because
Terrific, perfect.
so Other than that, unless you gentlemen have any questions, it was, like I said, kind of a quiet month as far as clients.
I move we accept your report.
Last item I had,
We can talk about that.
I had a bit of a security issue with a client, so I did check with Donna, and I checked the state law. I do have a camera in my office. I will use it as needed, and I have posted signs for that. It's frustrating that I have to do that, but
That'd be covered.
I gotta be covered.
Person burns it for 1,000. What
You've
can
been
I
working
say?
with Vern on that, or has Vern been helping you?
Well, the state actually gave me a webcam.
Oh, okay.
And I played with it yesterday, and it works fine for recording conversations, so.
It's been moved to accept the report. We have a second. It's been moved and seconded to accept the January report for the Veteran Service Office. Further discussion. I have one question. If in fact your volunteer did get charged at the landfill, will you follow up with that? We will get him reimbursed if he did, because that was
Absolutely.
county business.
Absolutely.
I hope he told him
He told
that
him
it was
to tell
county
him.
business.
Well,
but-
he is a landfill employee, so
Oh, okay,
I'm
so
pretty
I'm
sure
sure
we're good.
about it. Yeah, shouldn't be a problem then. So, further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. Your report has been accepted. Thank you.
Based on Laura, I need to start asking for a car.
Yeah, just start asking.
Yeah,
It has started early.
I thought you'd ask for a tank.
Well, see, the problem is, I can't just have a car, because I hate to tell you where some of my veterans live.
yeah, you've
You've seen my big red truck.
Four-wheel
and-
Jeep.
Yeah, my big red truck sometimes won't make it.
All right, sir, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming
Alrighty.
in. Have a great day. Continue the good work.
Oh, okay, breaking stuff already.
Passed on a compliment this morning. You weren't here. I ran into someone at lunch yesterday. I don't want to mention their name, but the lady hugged me, said, "Hug you." They were so happy. They were so frustrated up until you got involved. So I just wanted to pass that compliment.
You're not gonna hug him though, are you?
No, I am
I'll
not.
say, we can take a quick little break if you need to hug him real quick.
I'll pass, but thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Stop doing what I'm doing.
It was a very nice compliment.
Thank you, John.
I wanted to
Appreciate
pass
it.
on.
Okay, we will move on. Unfinished business, gentlemen, that you're aware of, nor do I. Okay, new business, we will allow public comment on each new business item if it is an action item and that we end up voting on that, so you're welcome to interject. First item of business is consideration of lifting the moratorium on the burn bans. I thought Kit was gonna try to be here, so maybe we can, Kara's got a call into him, so if you don't mind, gentlemen,
Wait a
we
minute
can
or two.
postpone that until, I'd rather move on because we have a guest here,
Let's
so.
get the reach thing going.
So instead of waiting, let's deal with that if and when Kit shows up.
Did he wanna, cause I thought he wanted to do it the same time as the,
Second reading.
ordinance, yeah, so we might wanna
It
move.
could be, yeah. So if you don't mind, by consent, gentlemen, we'll just hold off on that.
The ordinance for what?
Second
The
reading.
Fire ban,
Oh, so that would be later then.
cause they were kind
A lot
of
later.
connected.
It's February 19th.
Right, so let's.
Again, by consent, are we okay with postponing that?
Yeah, let's
Okay,
go.
thank you. So we'll move on then, consideration of the Reach Air
Might
Ambulance
disappoint,
contract. We
firemen.
do have a couple of guests here this morning. Welcome again, gentlemen. Obviously, you introduced yourself during the audience introduction. Thank you for being here. So, with that, I would prefer to turn the table over to Commissioner Prince, and we'll move forward. You're welcome to come up. Unfortunately, now there's only room for one, but whichever. So,
I'll just talk a little bit about,
There's Kid.
good morning again. Thank you for being here today. Maybe I should just set the stage real quick for people that's in the audience. We invited representatives from Reach, Air Ambulance, I know there's a better name for that, but Air Medical, to come in and visit with us a little bit about a possible municipal site plan contract with the county. So that's where we're at. Go ahead.
yeah, so really I just wanted to kind of introduce, our services here in the area. We are a rotor wing air ambulance based out of Salida. It's co-located right next to the hospital there at Heart of the Rockies. We do critical care or emergent transport. We serve as a resource for the first responders, EMS, hospitals, clinics, anytime where that patient has a time-sensitive injury or illness, and it exceeds the capabilities of what is currently available in the area. So,
How many helicopters did you say?
we have one helicopter in Salida. We are a vendor program for Memorial, so it's called Lifeline 2. We do have a helicopter in La Junta as well. That wouldn't really serve this area. And then there are 2 fixed wings that's within the Air Medcare network out of Del Norte and Alamosa as well.
Okay.
So we usually fly a nurse, critical care medic, and then we have a pilot that consists of our crew. We do fly in the A-Star 350 B3E aircraft. It's more than capable to serve in these high altitudes. We do high rod patients, critical care transport, and again, we're just here to be that resource if we're needed.
So it's clear, you've got 2 helicopters, 2 fixed wings,
2 fixed wings.
fixed wing pilots and helicopter pilots, or is it the same guy?
No, they're different.
Okay, and so they're on call separately.
So
Fixed wing vice the helicopter.
no,
so
the fixed wings are located down in Del Norte and Alamosa, and they're staffed 24/7.
Okay. That wouldn't affect us necessarily.
No.
Got it.
A couple questions, if I may, sir. First of all, thanks for coming on a day like this. I know that truly, before you even came, I mentioned to Chairman Flower, I said that I don't think they'll be coming today, we'll reschedule, and I would have certainly understood that, but thank you for coming through. I have a couple questions about the proposed agreement you have, but I'd like to bring up, we have one prominent citizen who has been very vocal to me about it's too good to be true. I'm talking about the contract, but the price that was quoted to the county, which just for the record, I'm going to read so anybody knows what we're talking about. To cover free, Custer County was $20,274.49 annually. His concern was it's not possible you'll be willing or can do that at that price. Could you respond to that comment? I told him I have no reason how I know.
I'll speak to the contract part of it. So the pricing, we do it by, it's a standard pricing system. So we do this all across the U.S. and it's done by zip code. So what they do is they go, our company, we have a department that specifically does municipal site plans. So they look up a zip code and they generate a price based off of that, based off of how many residents are in that area. And when they say too good to be true, did you want me to go ahead and just do my presentation about the?
Sure. You certainly can, yep.
Any questions about operations, I will.
You got an
have
extra
Jason.
copy and I don't have a hard copy.
It's in that booklet that I gave you
Oh,
there.
the booklet, okay, that makes sense.
Anything to do with operations, I'll turn it over to Jason.
Sounds great.
So,
Thank you.
So what this program is, to start with, I will address your question. I'm just going to do a quick little presentation that I do to everyone. So who we are, we're Air Medcare Network. REACH is one of our operating, I would say, partners. If you look at the bottom there, you see the brands that, 4 of the major brands that our company has, Air Evac Life Team, Guardian Flight, MedTrans, and REACH. I actually came, I told you I drove over from Salt Lake City. I used to work for a company called Air AMRG. We were bought by GMR several years ago. So GMR is our parent company, Global Medical Response. They own AMR, which if you've seen a ground ambulance, chances are it's an AMR ground ambulance. So we have a network now of over close to 400 bases across the U.S. We operate in, our membership program is active in over 38 states. So what that means to you, a member on a full membership, if they are flown by any of our providers, they have 100% coverage. What we do is we bill insurance. Whatever insurance pays, we accept that as payment in full. So to address your question of is it too good to be true, what we take out of the equation is called balance billing. So with air ambulance, what we do is whenever we do a flight, we have our standard billable charges that we bill, and it's standard across the board. It's by mile. There's different factors that go into what the cost of a flight is. Certain depends on the patient's situation. They might be have insurance with one of our in-network provider, in-network insurance companies, and then they don't have balance billing. We have a kind of a contracted rate with that insurance provider. We bill the insurance, and usually you'll have a deductible. This program actually covers the deductible as well. So if you have like a $10,000 out-of-pocket deductible, you don't have to pay that to us. If someone is uninsured, with this contract, we do to stay compliant. Working with Medicare and any type of federal billing, we have to stay compliant to what the IG stipulates. So instead of waiving the cost of a flight, we bill that patient at the Medicare allowable rate, which is approximately between $5,000 to $10,000. That's I can't remember off the top of my head what the Medicare allowable rate is. And we work when people are uninsured. Obviously, that's a large amount to pay. We have a hardship program that we work with people on for that. Instead of facing the entire bill, they're billed at that lower rate. So to go back to the point of balance billing, and this goes into what MASA does, what I was telling you with MASA as well. So whenever someone has an insurance and their insurance only cover, and they're not an in-network provider, we bill our billable charges, and then your insurance program, if you look in the underwriting, it'll have what's called a usual and customary rate. So to give you a scenario, let's say a flight from here, these are arbitrary numbers, these are not what flights cost. Let's say a flight from here to Denver costs $40,000. We would, if you have just any standard insurance provider, what they will do is in their underwriting, they'll have what's called a usual and customary rate. It might be, let's say it's $25,000, is what they say they will pay for this flight. That remaining balance would then be billed to the patient. What this program does is it removes the balance billing. So we accept payment from insurance as payment in full. That's what we mean by that. So that's what this is. So if the county decides to purchase this, every resident in the county that can prove that they live at this physical address, and it's not just the primary, we cover everyone in the household. So whether they're insured or not, as long as they can prove they live here in Custer County, any flight that originates from Custer County, they will have zero out of pocket.
What is a visitor?
Assuming they have some insurance. They have
No.
no insurance.
If they have no insurance, they'll be billed at the Medicare allowable rate.
So it's not gonna be no out of pocket.
Right, they will get billed at that, and they will be put into we have a hardship program. So and then they work with them. We don't go after people financially for.
If they didn't have insurance.
Right. I mean, we don't, there's some air companies that might do the aggressive billing tactics, but we don't do that.
So what if it is a visitor to the county?
If it is a visitor and they're not a member, then they will not have coverage by this.
So you bill them at what rate?
Then they would just fall into any other patient. If they're flown, we would assess their insurance. If they don't have insurance, they would fall into our hardship program like any other standard patient. So that's what this plan here is. It's a municipal site plan for any flight originating in Custer County. Any resident here would have, if they're insured, they have zero out of pocket. the uninsured, they're billed at that lower Medicare rate. What we also offer as a kind of a add-on to this is if people want to get the full coverage. So if you want to get the coverage to where it's nationwide, any flight originating outside of Custer County by any one of our providers, there's a annual rate of $45 that they can upgrade and get that if they choose to. They don't have to. They can get that full
Right.
coverage.
But they would deal with that on a personal basis.
Right.
It wouldn't have anything to do with the municipal site plan.
Correct.
They would just know, we would make that information available to them to say, hey, we have this MSP,
Correct.
but you can also upgrade.
We will work with you on advertising that. We have a marketing department that can send out letters. We have people on the ground here. I work with business corporate accounts, so any business that maybe wants to build this into their benefits plan and offer that to their employees, I can work with them on that, and our local rep can do the door-to-door knocking, just every day selling to people.
So across the whole United States, you have a lot of municipal programs.
We do.
Participation.
Correct. We have, and this is very unique. I really hope that the county, you take advantage of this. Right now, GMR is kind of cutting back on the amount of these plans that we are doing. The last several that I've submitted up have been, they've not been approved to go through. So this is a very unique situation at this rate that the county is being offered here. I do this in a lot of different areas, and I've leading up to the meeting, I've talked to several residents and people in this area that have a background in this area, and one of the things with these is always funding. You know, when even though to me that this is a low rate considered some of the other municipal site plans, to you that might be a lot of money to come up with $20,000 to fund this. In certain areas we have, like I know in one of the last MSPs that I did up in Wyoming, we had a local rancher that he purchased it for all the residents in their county, and he used it as part of his tax write-off benefits, whatever. I'm just giving you scenarios I've seen of how these funds are raised.
When do you set the rate for the year? Is it early? What time of the year do you do that? Is it November, December?
It would
is this
be
rate valid for 5 years?
this rate here. I mean, there isn't obviously there would be a expiration on the this
Change
price
every
here.
year?
It would not. It'll be reevaluated every year, so I can't tell you. It could go up or down just depending on. This is the way our program works. We have 3.5 million members across the U.S. So every year, each member pays membership fees, and that's how this is. People ask how it's too good to be true. That's how this is funded on our end.
MetaShare.
Right. So we have about 3.5 million members. Every year, our analytics department, they know that a fraction of those 3.5 million are going to be flown. They analyze it and they come up with a rate every year of what everyone has to pay so that we can cover. The way that the law works for us to be compliant, we have to take in as much money as we forgive on that end. So if we waive a flight that costs $50,000, we have to raise from these membership fees $50,000 to cover that. So that's how we come up with these rates. So I can't give you a definite, it will go up or it will go down, but it doesn't fluctuate that much.
May I ask, I have
Sure.
a couple questions. I went through this pretty carefully. You answered my question about uninsured folks. My first question would be, my understanding is, and tell me if I'm wrong, that you only qualify for this program in the county if it's a life-threatening or a limb-threatening illness or injury.
That's a good question.
Okay, so how do we determine when our EMS goes out on the scene and they feel, well, this could be a life-threatening decision and they want to call you, how do we know that that particular flight will be covered? Who
Sure.
determines?
So with our program, in the past, there has been scenarios where maybe insurance denies a claim and it wouldn't be paid. Our policy is if our flight crew touches a patient, that flight is considered necessary and they won't be responsible for that flight. So, because there's very different scenarios, like for instance, in one state, a situation I saw, you know, in remote areas, there might be one crew on and something might come up where that crew is, that rig is being used at that time. Somebody calls 911 and there's no one to respond to that patient. It might be something minor, it might be a migraine or a broken arm or something like that. If they are in, if there's no way they can get medical care and they have to call in a helicopter to respond to that, sometimes insurance will deny that claim. They'll see the reasoning for the flight and say that's not medically necessary. But our policy with the membership of a member is flown with us. If a first responder is calls our medics and we fly a patient, they will not be financially responsible for that flight.
So it's only a first responder that can call you?
No, doctors do. I mean, ultimately it comes from a physician. So we do this. This covers scene calls. It covers there's a wreck and they have to fly in and pick somebody up on the road. It covers facility to facility transfers. So you might be flown.
The member does not call you direct.
No, it's always, our crews are always. You can speak to the operations side if you want.
Yeah, so the EMS, first responders, and the clinic or hospital are the ones that can call. So as a private citizen, you cannot call our dispatch and dispatch a helicopter to your house. So you're going to have somebody who is qualified to make a decision whether that patient should or should not fly.
And if I could just follow up on that, so if our EMS goes out and they determine that they feel it's a life-threatening situation and they call you, and you come and find out it's really indigestion, not a heart attack, or whatever, I'm not a medical person. Even though it's not a life-threatening situation, if our EMS folks called you, is that sufficient for this policy to kick in?
As long as it's considered emergent. So a lot of times you can't tell what
That's
it
my
is.
point.
So if you get to
Right.
the hospital and find out it's something else, it would still be considered we flew an emergent and they would not be held responsible.
Got it.
Now, we want to make sure that we're educating our first responders and our EMS and they understand, we're not here to overutilize air ambulance and fly non-critical, non-emergent patients. That's what we're here for, is to fly those critical and emergent patients. So, so we may follow back up and maybe talk about, a flight that maybe we took, but at that point, if they call us, we're going to go ahead and fly the patient.
If I can ask
So,
you-
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, no.
So that's why I was speaking to, if our crew, how it's been explained to me from my leadership is, if our crew touches the patient and we consider that, as far as the member, they're not going to be financially responsible for that flight. We will do the battle with insurance to get paid if we can for that flight, to argue to make it medically necessary, but the patient will not be
So
responsible
even
for
if
that.
it's totally rejected, it's not
Correct.
going to be, okay. Another question, if I may, please.
Go ahead.
You're not exclusive, because I know our EMS calls Flight for Life fairly often. If they feel it's life-threatening and they call you and you go, well, we're not really available, we have another call, whatever. There's no reason they can't call another air
Correct.
ambulance service, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Can I ask one last question
Sure.
and then I'll
Go
pass
ahead,
the
yeah.
buck? Okay. In the contract, it's a real short sentence, but I was really perplexed. It's number 5. Some state laws prohibit Medicaid beneficiaries from offering membership or being accepted into membership programs by applying members certified to the company that they are not Medicaid beneficiaries. Does that mean that if someone is on Medicaid, they're not covered?
No. So Medicaid, the reason we put that in there is because Medicaid patients don't need the coverage. So they're already 100% covered. They're going to be billed at the Medicaid rate, and we have there's a Medicaid rate that we're paid for those flights. So there is no balance billing with Medicaid.
Why do you need
So-
to put it in there?
Well, we just put these are terms and conditions our standard across the board. So this is like, let's say someone wants to buy this upgraded rate and they're Medicaid patient, we will notify them that they don't need this. So this is so that we don't sell it to people who don't need it. We don't want to collect fees from someone that are never going to get a balance bill from us anyway. So it's not that we don't, it's not a negative that they're excluded from it. They already essentially have the coverage because they're a Medicaid patient, they don't get balance billed.
Understand.
So, and it's not harmful. I mean, this rate here takes that into effect. So if someone is a Medicaid patient and if they want to receive a ID card from us, if you purchase it, everyone will receive ID cards. We will send them out an ID card. It's not excluding anyone from it. It's just for the financial purposes, we don't take money from someone that doesn't need the coverage.
Thank you.
Yeah, as a follow-up, the quote of $20,000 and some dollars took into account the number of residents in our county who are Medicare, Medicaid
Yes, sir.
beneficiaries.
Yes, sir.
That's already been, you know those numbers, you've already plugged that in.
Correct. It's done by a census. I believe it's the last census that was taken, that those are the numbers that they go off of. So it does take all those things into account. It factors in, the uninsured rates. It does so there's a lot of factors that go into this price. And like I said, I've seen this price a lot higher for this size area. So this is like I said, I just really hope that the county takes advantage of this rate, because it is a, I believe, in my opinion, a very good opportunity to cover everybody here. Like I said, especially in a remote area, like me driving out here today, I know that if something had happened on that road, I probably would have been flown out,
Right.
because it'd be very hard, if it was serious, to get someone to the level they need trauma center in time.
We're far away from trauma.
So it really alleviates the concern about the price. I cover a lot of remote areas. I have people come up to me and say things like, "Oh, well,
Sorry.
they're like, if I get hurt, don't fly me. Just, for the financial reasons, this takes all that away. We don't want a person worrying about the cost of a flight when it comes to life-saving situations." So.
I've got a list of 17 questions. I'm not gonna
Okay.
ask them all. What I might do
Offline,
is,
you can obviously
yeah, I
contact
can
me.
shoot those to you. You may struggle with some of the language, but there's a couple I would like to touch on.
Sure.
Currently, now, REACH does not fly blood products, is that correct?
Not currently. It is a program that we are looking at. We do carry TXA. We can reconstitute them with fluids. But yeah, we don't carry
Okay.
blood on us at this moment.
Okay.
But that is something that will probably be changing very soon.
And then the EMD, the emergency medical directives, those would come from the highest level of care on scene?
Yeah, I believe, doesn't the county or the dispatch follow that EMD kind of protocol?
Yeah, which is another question I have. We have now closed down our dispatch center in Custer County. That has been moved to Freecom down in Canyon City. So those dispatches would go through those, but the medical directives, Shannon, I forget the clinic's doctor. I don't know, this may be out of your wheelhouse. That they get their directives from EMS.
Dr. Weber.
Yeah, thank you, yeah. I don't know if that would continue to be how that EMD deal is handled. I don't really understand all that, but to Commissioner Prince's question, who makes the call? And then, how does AMCN decide we're flying down there or we're not? Somebody's gotta make that decision. Is that staff on the helicopter out of Salida?
Yeah, so generally, the way it happens is EMS or first responder shows up, say, to the scene, or whoever the sending physician from the clinic will make a decision to fly that patient. again, it goes through that EMD process that is established through the agency and the dispatch, correct? Sure? Is that kind of how that rolls? Your guys' EMD? That you guys...
It comes from dispatch, correct?
Correct. And so, at that point, they're gonna call our dispatch and request an air ambulance. We're gonna look at the weather, make sure that we can fly. We may not be able to fly. If we can't, we'll try and offer up different solutions, whether it's maybe we can get a fixed wing in, maybe we can go air crew by ground, as a possibility, just depending on the situation. But we'll choose to accept or decline that flight. If we do accept, we'll land at the scene or at the receiving facility. We'll package up the patient, and then we'll take them off to the most appropriate level 1 or level 2 hospital. If it's coming from the clinic, usually the clinic's sending physician will decide where that patient's going to go.
And to that end, then, does REACH, we'll just call it REACH, I think we all know what
That's
we're talking
fine.
about. So does REACH operate under a hot load scenario, or will they refuse to load a patient if the rotors are running, or do you have?
Yeah, so our policy is to stay hot. So, but I mean, if that becomes an issue or it's going to be an extended scene call, then we can't shut down if we feel it's in the need for safety. But just realize if we stop the blades running, there is always the opportunity that we may not be able to turn it back on. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. When you shut down, and that's the worst time to really.
Right.
You know, so, but again, we try and mitigate that through LZ classes, landing zone classes, where we come in and we train with the first responding agencies, whether it's the fire department, law enforcement, search and rescue, or if it's with the EMS agencies as well.
Go ahead, sir.
Just to follow up on that, if I may. So, if the county enters into this agreement, then you will provide additional training to our EMS, our fire department, and our local sheriff's department?
Correct, yeah. We'll do what we call landing zone class, and we do it whether you guys enter into the agreement or not. We're gonna do it. It's just really more in the benefit to work with each other, get familiar, make sure that everybody stays safe, and just to provide that knowledge so we have a nice, safe working relationship.
Obviously, with this membership, we are offering, we obviously would prefer to be the provider to do the flight. That's why we're offering this, because it benefits the patient financially. Obviously, like you brought up earlier, there's no guarantee on that. If it's a life-saving situation and we're not available, then obviously bring in the next available aircraft. But we are doing this as a partnership. We want to enter with the county and like you mentioned, provide more training, and that'll only benefit the residents here, because then they can get that top-level care without the cost, the burden of the cost that a lot of times they face when they get flown. So
We had a member of the county standing in the back, not here now,
Oh.
but a couple of meetings ago.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I wouldn't follow
Who
you.
said, I'm sorry, I
That's
was
okay.
just gonna say, I'm just following up with this, that he said that he received a bill for not from REACH, but he received a bill for $40,000 for air ambulance. I was talking to another gentleman who had no insurance, and he out of pocket paid $16,000. So, there's something to be said about living in a remote area, not having a trauma center close by.
Right. And that's why this benefits the county. Like I said, that's why I really hope that the county takes advantage of it, because it would definitely benefit the residents. Like I said, because that's one of the big hot topic issues in the U.S., not just here, is, with the cost of air ambulance and the government wanting to kind of draw back air ambulance a lot on the cost, then you're restricting people's access to that level 1 care. So you have to balance that, and I think this is a way to balance it. It removes that billing part that's a burden to people and still allows them to have that, because I know you living here, you want to, if it's your loved one, you don't care about the cost. You want the best level of care that they can be provided, And I think this is the best of both worlds. They get that care and they don't have to worry about the cost. So
When you think about that guy who just spent $16,000. Now, he spent that $16,000 and it's leaving the county, right? That's $16,000 that won't be spent at the grocery store, at the bowling alley, at the restaurants and shops around here. I mean, that's, that's the propensity to spend that money disappears, once
keeps
it
that
leaves
in
the
the
county.
county.
So that's just the economic impact that you can have on a growing community, especially when you're really trying to develop that and make this a great place to visit. So,
Will Reach fly a core dead body?
no.
I don't understand that question. What is core?
Core is a dead body.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I thought I heard you say from facility to facility, so secondary flights would be covered?
As far as, if, like say we fly into
Say to Pueblo?
Pueblo, yeah, we'll fly into Pueblo. Generally, if it's a sinkhole, we're gonna fly into the most appropriate, because what we don't wanna do is fly into the hospital that can't take care of that patient and then end up flying in again. We don't wanna do that.
But that was the medical directive, would you do that?
Yeah,
Let's say you landed in Pueblo and
Stabilize
highest
and
level of
then
care
you
gets
move to
down
the
there and
next
says, here, we
facility.
can't deal with this here, even though it's a level 3 trauma center, this patient needs to go to Denver.
Yeah, so our medical direction is very specific on where we fly specific types of patients to reduce that possibility of happening. So
Yeah, I mean, it's a communication thing,
right.
but in the event that
At the-
something
at the
broke down or something changed,
Yeah,
you wouldn't say, sorry, we only fly these patients here, you're gonna have to get another helicopter to fly them to Denver.
right. No, we wouldn't do that.
Okay.
And that secondary flight, if it's done by one of our providers, will be covered under this,
Okay.
because the flight originated from the county.
Okay. You wouldn't, 3 days later, fly back to Pueblo, pick that patient up, fly him to Denver, and have that covered?
If it's ordered by a doctor, then it would be
Okay.
covered.
Okay,
That
it
would be something they would work at the hospital. There's several other ambulances that they could call, right, or air ambulances.
Yeah, and that's the thing, if we fly into Pueblo, I believe the next closest is Flight for Life. We do have a preferred provider agreement with Parkview out of La Junta. That patient would be covered if we flew him out of La Junta, so.
Makes sense.
So my understanding from talking to Dawn is this financial arrangement could be broken into a monthly, semi-annual, annual payment, or can you speak to
Correct.
that? Is that pretty accurate?
Yes.
Details to be worked out.
We have some that do it quarterly, or we can work that out with the county if needs be. So,
So I don't want to negotiate the contract
Right,
right
yeah,
now, but I do
that's-
have an issue with it.
That's where I'm trying to hold off to at some point, because I don't think we're there yet today with these gentlemen. But if you have other questions about the process, the operations, maybe at some point, who would we negotiate the contract with in the final analysis?
I would work with you on that. If you get to the point where the county decides that they want to purchase this, reach out to me and we can discuss the financial side of.
I'm assuming your information's in the notebook.
Yes, sir. My card is right
Yeah,
there
okay.
on
Yeah.
each one of those, and
Okay, good.
reach out to me anytime. I provided in here, just so you are aware, I put a little sticker in there. Every resident of the county will receive one of these member stickers. They can put on their vehicle. We have small ones that you can put on your ATV, the saddle, if you ride horses, whatever. We put those on there so that people have the best chance of, if you're outside of the county and you're a full member, if EMTs see that.
All they know is their name.
Right, but in most areas, we're pretty well known. So if you drive anywhere usually in Colorado, they'll recognize Reach and they'll know who to call. So,
Yeah, I think there's a couple of underlying issues that have been brought brought up to me, and that's one, obviously, your competitor in this area would be primarily Flight for Life. I think that's people's go-to thought when there is a helicopter either needed or called, it was Flight for Life.
And is Flight for Life, are they Air Methods? Okay, just so you're aware too, you might, I'm just gonna bring this up and you can do kind of your own research on this. Air Methods recently, this is according to them, so don't quote me on it, did away with their membership program. They used to have one similar to ours, and what they essentially said is that no one needs a membership anymore with them, that they, so like I said, don't quote me on it, I'm going off of what secondhand knowledge of what I've been told, so you might want to do some research on that, because if essentially if they are saying you don't need a membership with them and you have a membership with us, if they're the two primary providers that are going to be, you're probably going to be flown with, then obviously your financial responsibility there is going to be pretty well covered. But I don't speak for them, so just do your own research on that.
So what they're saying, they're similar.
Well, I think essentially what they're saying is they're going in network with all insurance providers. So if you're in network with the insurance provider, that balanced billing is not applicable anymore because you enter that agreement with them. So that's, from my understanding, what they're doing with that. But like I said, I don't know for sure. So.
Chair doesn't want to belabor this, and we're not going to vote on this today. I don't believe there will be a motion forthcoming. But because of the nature of it, I would offer an opportunity if there's any public comment or questions for these two gentlemen while they're here. They both traveled significant distances this morning, so Chair would allow that. Go ahead.
I have a question. Sure. How do you determine who's a resident? Because we do have people that claim this as their residence that don't live.
If they can show, if someone is flown, our billing department will work one-on-one with them. So if they can provide proof that they reside at that residence, like for instance, college students. If a college student, if you have a child that is going to school, but they're 26 and under, they're still considered dependent of that primary person. So they would be covered. If they live part of the year here, part of the year somewhere else, as long as they can prove to our billing department that they are
residency.
Right, or even a secondary residency.
Because 50% of our population is part-time.
Right, like we have a situation, like snowbirds, maybe they'll go to Arizona for the year. So if they're a member, both of those residences are taken into account if they are flown. So as long as they can show that they have a residence here in the county, they will be covered.
Good.
And so you said you send a card out to all the residents. If
Yes.
you happen to miss somebody and they need it, I'm assuming that.
There's a 1-800 number they can call and they'll mail them out and they'll get them in the next day or two.
But if they didn't have a card
And they were flown, they're
then
right.
they
They
still
were
would use that.
Would still be covered.
correct.
Yeah, okay.
Correct.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Other questions? Kit, I look to you. You have a question?
Yeah, I had a couple.
Let me introduce you real quick. This is Kit Shy. He's the fire chief, former county commissioner, so certainly has a lot of experience in what we're talking about. So I'd be interested in hearing from Kit.
Yeah, we've been setting up LZs for about 30 years. Those are no real good for us in the dusty environment, throwing rocks and all that kind of thing, so always have a little trouble with that. As far as the determination of medical emergency, our EMS decides that before we call it, so is that still an issue at some point in this medical process?
No, like I said, that's why that policy is, if we touch the patient, they're covered. They won't be responsible financially for it.
And as far as I know, Freecon doesn't have an EMD protocol.
They do, but it's not what ours was.
Right, it's not as, it's not what we.
Yeah, it's not as robust.
That's not, right, robust, that's a good word. It's a sheriff over there.
Level up. That's my word for the year.
So what if you get taken to Pueblo and Pueblo determines that you need to go to Denver? Do you take the flight on up and it's part of the same incident? Or does Flight for Life take it from there?
I mean, we'll take it. I mean, if they call us, if the hospital calls us, we'll take it.
And just so you're aware as well, this is one thing we explain to members. A lot of the patient can also request the company that they would like to transport them. So you can, obviously the doctor doesn't have to do what you tell them, but you can request, and it's the doctor's responsibility then to at least contact that air company and see if they're available. So if you have this membership, make sure that your family members are aware. If you're not conscious, that they can say, if it's a facility transfer, hey, my dad has this membership, will you please call Guardian Flight or Reach first? A lot of people don't realize that. Sometimes they just go to the hospital and they say, yeah, call whoever, and then they don't get to take advantage of this membership.
Good point. Education.
Just a quick scenario for you too, somebody has somebody visiting, they get involved in a car wreck. The driver's a Reach member, the visitor's not. They show up on scene and it turns out the most critical that needs transportation is not a Reach member, but the driver was. That's why they called Reach. You cover that?
If the person's not a member,
Right, but they were, you know, I mean.
Or not a citizen in this case.
Not a citizen in this case, they're a visitor to
Out
this
of town,
person who
yeah.
is a
Right.
Reach member.
visitors will not, I will get back to you on that. I will look into, someone that is temporarily residing in the county. I will get
The
you
scenes
a-
get pretty confused though.
Right.
There's times when the priority changes, once they've landed, the critical patient is not the one with the membership.
Right, and with everything, there's always extenuating circumstances, so I will get an answer back to you on that
And I
question.
think Kit hits on the point that Jay and I are both wanting to address.
You don't want tourists coming here and getting a huge bill at the
Right.
end of the day.
Typically, a lot of flights are connected to Hardscrabble Canyon, the Sangre de Cristos, Rainbow Trail. Those aren't always going to be residents. So I think that's something that we need to talk about offline and have a discussion about that, because we have a lot of visitors come through here. Not a lot, but we have visitors come through here require air.
We can, just so you're, yeah, if we get to the point where you want to do this, offline when we negotiate the, payment and everything like that, we can negotiate. We can talk about that so that you're comfortable with it before
Certainly, I
you
think
sign.
would be a legitimate concern. Kit.
See,
Thank you.
any of them would have the same issue. Helicopter that's called in has to bill them somehow. So we gotta figure out if this membership covers it.
Yeah, that's one thing that I worry about, somebody being a card carrying.
Right.
They got their card with them, maybe they're unconscious, their card's.
We'll work on something to make you comfortable with that before we move.
And you don't
forward.
necessarily have time to argue whether it's flight for life or
Right,
something.
right.
Well, and I worry about the confusion at the scene.
Who
That's the
gets,
thing that bothers me.
gets flown and.
Reach comes because somebody says, well, I got a Reach membership,
Right,
but.
But Joe doesn't.
All I did was haul this guy down to my house because he fell off the needles.
right.
And here comes Reach, and then, well, you know what?
We'll come up with a solution that the county is comfortable with.
Thank you.
So that's
Appreciate
what
it.
we can
Yeah, good point, Kit. Thank you.
Thanks, make me
Other
feel
questions, sir?
very
Just one quick thing.
Yep.
I had a long talk with the Flight for Life director and being public at the RETAC meeting. And she said that the reason that they don't do memberships is because they're nonprofit. And they can't charge in advance for a
For
service
service.
that may not be rendered. So because they're nonprofit, they go after the insurance company, same as what you're talking about, and then the remainder is on the patient. Because they're not looking at that being a profit, so they have the same policy. Medicare, Medicaid, goes as federal, but with other people, people who don't have insurance with them, for sure. Yeah, as far as I know, they've never had a membership.
Yeah, like I said, how other air companies do it is different. Like I said, with Air Methods, what they're doing, they're trying to do something different than the membership. With us, we've been doing this for 35 years. Our membership program, we're the largest air provider in the U.S. And we have bases in a lot of remote areas that is a very expensive service to staff crews 24/7. So to absorb those costs and to keep those bases out there in those remote areas, that's what this membership does. So a lot of people, we were talking about MASA earlier. You might buy into MASA, but MASA, if all the air ambulance in your area leave, like I said, doesn't do anything for you. This membership helps keep that crew close to you, because with anything, with any company, if, those exorbitant costs of operating, there's some bases where they do maybe I'd say there's a base in Utah right now that does one flight a month. So the only way they're able to stay there is by having funding from outside. So that's what this program does. It keeps that access to care close to home as well. So
I guess I only have one question. So Flight for Life says that they don't bill the patient at all. Is that what they said?
I believe they do.
balance bill.
They do
They-
balance billing the same as you do, but, they don't charge in advance because they're not capable of making a profit. They can't charge people for service they do not render. That's what I understand.
So if they do fly the patient though, does that patient still get a bill even after they, okay, so they still get a bill? 'Cause
Right.
I guess that, you know,
The
they're not.
difference between insurance and the cost they bill it. Now, whether they collect it or not, being a nonprofit, my conversation with them is, you know, we look at each one on an individual basis, but we do bill them for the balance, and then we work out if we need to something different. Kind of like what you said with the people who have no insurance.
Correct.
They would get billed, and then
They work,
out.
it's taken on a case-by-case basis.
But with the membership, you know, if they have the membership and they do have insurance, then they have a zero copay.
Right. It's kind of like gap insurance is the way I was looking at it. I didn't realize if they had no insurance, they're still gonna get billed. I didn't realize that.
Can I ask what the cost per member is?
The average is about $4, between $4 and $5 a person. That's a little hard to nail down because of the Medicare and Medicaid population, but yeah, at average, we're figuring, I think that was based on 4,000 people in the county at
$20,000
So
premium.
$5 a person, roughly. Good question. Thank you, Kid, I appreciate those questions too. Sheriff Byerly, anything?
No, sir.
Okay. Mark?
No, sir.
Anything else, gentlemen, before we?
I just want to thank you again for coming in miserable weather.
Yeah, I hope this conversation was worth your time and effort to get here.
No, it is, and I'd just like to say, being based out of Salida, we are the closest air ambulance company here to Westcliff and West Custer County
Right.
as well too, so majority of the folks live here.
Have you ever,
Obviously.
have you ever mustered anything down here?
Yeah, in fact, we just took somebody out just 4 days ago, I believe. Somebody.
You know, they're popular here.
So, so yeah, we have.
Right.
But you know, being in Salida, we're about a 23-minute flight to get out here. So very, very close. I mean, I want to say it's less than 50 miles. So it's about two miles a minute is what we fly, roughly.
Yeah, one of my questions was about the geographical consideration. Probably the eastern portion of Custer County is going to be a little closer for flight than for reach out of Salida, but,
But we'll still fly out there. What we do have is, you know, if it sounds bad, if it's an accident, it's a rollover, it's a fall from 15 feet, major burns. If this sounds bad, we can be early activated, even before first responders are on the scene. You know, so get us up in the air, get us going. By the time they get there, we're just a few minutes behind. If not, we might even be ahead of them. At that point, if the EMS or first responders see or that patient refuses, we'll just fly back. It's not a big issue. No one gets charged or anything like that either.
yeah, and that's why I asked about the Corps. If a patient was alive when you left Salida, and by the time you landed, he or she had expired, you're going to turn around and go home and say, all bets are off, we tried, didn't happen, we're not flying your Corps, but we're not charging anybody.
Right,
Okay.
yeah. And the reason why we don't want to fly a Corps is because we want to be in service for, 10 minutes
For
later.
somebody that really needs it.
Somebody could be
Wild
having a heart
patients,
attack.
as they say,
you know?
yeah.
So, we just don't want to utilize the air ambulance in that way. So,
Deal with those, I'm sorry.
That's okay, go ahead, Tom.
Tom Shepard. You deal with those issues as they arise, basically.
Right.
Just on the ground.
Yeah.
I remember when, names off the record, please, but I remember when Curtis girl, was run over by the flow in the homecoming parade, and she was dead on the scene, but they flew her out. I know they went back against the grandfather for $26,000.
it wasn't reached that.
That wasn't,
Oh, okay.
no, this was fight for life. And he So there are, but that's a determination that's made on scene, basically. And there are exceptions to almost every rule.
And if we, this is a little off topic, but if there was getting to the point, would you fly an extraction?
Like extracting
Out of the
somebody.
Sangres,
We're covered.
obviously an LZ would come into
Okay,
play,
so
but
if they are a patient that needs to go to a higher level of care, yes, we would. If they just a stranded hiker,
Right.
we won't fly them off. We won't rescue them off the mountain. What we will do is we do have a program called a lift ticket program. I know that the law enforcement and search and rescue, they're all very familiar with it. What we will do is we'll take a search and rescue or lift ticket qualified individual or crew. We'll fly them up to an LZ close, generally above where maybe they think the lost hiker is. That way that they can go down the mountain versus climbing up. We'll drop them off and they can assess if that patient needs to be flown or if that hiker needs to be flown due to a broken leg or something.
would you stay on scene that whole time till that determination's made, typically, or no?
Typically, we don't want to be committed because those things could take hours. Exactly. And so, but I mean, if we know where they're at, and we know kind of how long we could stay committed, especially if we know that they're going to be need to be flown. So, but if they're just lost and maybe a little hungry, maybe a little dehydrated, we let search and rescue take care of them from that point. But we will take them to an LZ that's close to that patient, and that is it's a community service, so we don't charge for that. We don't charge the sheriff. We don't charge search and rescue or whoever we take up. It's just kind of we have an asset here, and we want you guys to be able to serve your communities.
Good.
One more thing, quick thing I had is if we do get to the point where the county wants to do this, we can work with you to do like town hall meetings if you want, so that the citizens here can come. I would participate in those, and the local sales rep, and we can answer any questions that people have about the program. So, and we'll send out letters with information notifying them of what it is, so that
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Really sincerely appreciate you fighting the weather today. I hope it was worth your time. I believe it was ours, so. All right, man. Thanks, Jason. Thank you very much. Nice to meet you. Okay. Yeah. Okay, very good. Thank you. Without
Yes.
it got away from me. Without objection, we'll be in recess for 3 or 4 minutes. I want to say without exception, and that's not.
Yeah. Better be no exception.
Well, yeah. So,
Jackie's.
that's why I didn't want to bring it up.
And that's why I started.
I know.
Shut up.
I knew
And
that.
the kid brought it up. And
Yes, how's that?
I'll decide who's worthy.
There you go, there you go.
The good news is that this resolution be done by 6 o'clock tonight. I'm good, how are you? Dreaming to live.
I said that to somebody the other day, and he goes, I don't know what kind of dream you're in, but it's more like a dream.
Nightmares are dreams too.
That's right. You know, everybody wants to be here.
Yeah. But at this rate though, we should be done by 6:30 tonight.
I'm thinking, yeah.
Earlier, how could you make out we weren't really a people person? That's so nice.
still in progressive?
No, it's one at a time.
One? Man, you are,
Well, it's just, I have Fox News on my iPad and just, and the heater keeps me warm and the oven.
yeah.
No, I would like to have that. I'm not in any big hurry.
Yeah, and they don't give them away. It's hard to justify buying one unless you are shooting a lot, because you don't save enough money.
I think I load more with Jim Reed than I do for myself. And he shoots out his kitchen window.
Oh, does he
Yeah,
really?
he stands there and shoots out. He shot down the
Back to order. Time is 11:26 a.m. My apologies to Mr. Shy. We had these two guests from out of town, so we weren't sure what the weather was doing in your world, so we rolled by you on the agenda. Thank you for waiting. Appreciate that. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Good default setting, right? So at this point, we'd like to go back on the agenda then to the second reading of the fire ban. Well, actually, we'll go back to lifting the moratorium first, if that's all right. So if you'd like to come forward, sir. Thank you.
There he goes.
Morning, sir. Thanks for being here.
You guys have any clue at all how coronavirus and influenza is transmitted from person to person? Mostly this kind.
Shaking
Yeah.
hands. So we gotta, hey, rubber gloves for all our needs.
Kung flu.
Wash your hands.
Yeah.
With some
Yeah, we
Yeah.
probably, I don't think I've got any back here actually, so. Good morning. Yeah, both, really,
Hope we don't have.
yeah. So we need to officially lift the ban, that's your recommendation?
I think we need to do that, we've got people lined up wanting to get permits, they'll be in tomorrow. So,
Yeah, that's
We need to do it.
it's just for-
That does not have to be done by resolution, correct? Do we instill a resolution, or instill a fire ban by resolution, or no? Or is it just a majority vote of the board?
We let
I thought
we rolled it
deferred
up.
that decision to
We did.
fire chief
Oh,
and
that's right,
sheriff.
we
It's
did
all
change
deferred.
that, that's
It's
exactly
instituted,
right,
and
yeah,
any changes in
you're
the
right.
ban resolution has to be done.
So this is just a
Yeah,
courtesy call?
That's right, I had forgotten about that,
We got one piece of business.
yeah.
Don't watch the-
Okay.
Okay, so you have the floor, sir.
It's just time to lift the ban.
Okay,
Okay.
We, put the ban on to create the documentation that we have in front of you today as well for second reading. So it's appropriate to do that now.
okay,
Plus we were blessed with some wicked weather.
Right.
already.
Picked it just right, didn't you?
It's just by title, isn't it? Second reading.
Yeah, but it didn't get published.
oh, that's right, yeah, we did
We're gonna
not get it
we're gonna
published,
do
so
it
we have to
tomorrow.
wait now until the 19th.
For the 19th.
What to tell all those people that are coming in tomorrow, tell them what will be read on the fourth.
And statute says it has to be published
10 days.
10 days prior to the final
And
reading.
it didn't get published at all. So it should have been published the 23rd, but there's some miscommunication, so it's gonna be published this Thursday. So the 19th will be the soonest we can do the second reading, which will be very brief.
So what could happen to allow them to do this by exception somehow? It'd be hard to look at the snow and not allow them to burn.
The permit wasn't part of the resolution. We could work, if you lift the moratorium, we could work on the old resolution.
Right,
until
we
the
could.
19th.
That's a good idea.
And there is no change.
Because that old resolution stays intact until the new one
That's right.
supersedes it,
Let's-
correct?
So we could burn under the old resolution with a new permit process. So, yeah, I think that'd be fine.
And we would certainly honor your decision on that, you know, it wouldn't be outright, so we'd take it
Right.
some.
They don't have
Right.
any,
From the old to the new.
And then at some point, we need to take the people.
Yeah, I was.
Need to
I was
tell
gonna
them that-
visit with you, let's get a blurb out that you guys, that, at least in my thoughts, what you prefer for the language to be. We'll share it, we get to pre-com so that all of us are speaking the same.
It's a good idea.
And there is no permit, required for agriculture. But they do need to notify pre-com, so I want to get that one down as well. Burn for crops and.
Right.
Slash.
Slash, well, slash is actually
is
part of the
different.
permit, but.
Well, it's the
Ditches.
clearing.
Crops off,
Ditches.
for irrigation,
Yeah.
those are all exempt from the permit anyway, but I do want them to call pre-com, so.
Yeah.
We need to get that out.
Yeah, that's right.
And let pre-com understand the difference between what we send them the permits to pre-com, to let them know and file that contract, so.
when we get the language all hashed out, do you wanna reach out to Vernon and he can put something on the county website as
Great to
well?
have it on the website, we'll have a little bulletin and then copies of the permits and the burn plan. And we'll link it up with ours.
Still get it in the paper, if you act fast. Sentinel will carry it, it's Friday.
And then your official notice, could it have a little message about where you'll go for permits and that kind of thing attached to it? Could you get that in there as well in your public notice? That, from now on, you'll go get your permits after fire comes.
I mean, publishing the ordinance itself, that's, wouldn't be part of publishing that. I mean, do a press
We could do
release
it,
or
yeah,
something.
I'm gonna say we do
See, this is
a
Tuesday,
legal
so there's
notice
time to
and-
do it.
I would think that the papers would do a PSA county cost.
Yeah.
And if there was, we would.
Yeah, we could figure out that also, I just wanna see if they could get out kind of at the same time,
Right.
okay?
I think his work on.
Got plenty of time.
So moving forward, and I had forgotten about the change in the process, we don't have anything to do with this as commissioners. This is an agreed upon thing with conversation with Sheriff's Department, Fire Department, recon.
And
So we're good there.
Yeah, Kit did the lion's share though, the heavy lifting on this. He went through it all, he caught some things that, quite honestly, we probably should have gotten fixed 4 or 5 years ago, and we just, for one reason or another, had missed, so he did a really good job in
Well, we got a lot,
getting that put together.
we have to do it together, and the feds were with us on it as well as the state, so we're pretty much in line with it.
Okay, so we've got the second reading on the agenda for the 19th. That will be in Wetmore. That's by title only, so it's kind of a formality there. But again, I think it's a great suggestion that we operate under the old burn ban, or the old resolution to allow the permitting to start taking place.
I would ask that I could have some copies of the old one to give people in the interim.
I
Should
can
still
do
be
that. I
online.
can get it to you,
Okay.
you want me to email Terry?
Would you do that?
Great.
I just,
Great.
you know, we've had so many iterations, I want to
Yeah.
make sure we got the permits in.
Right. Okay. All right, sir, anything else? Thank you for your comments for the reach thing. That was insightful.
Good
So-
decision.
Yeah, it is. A lot of legalese that we may or may not get dissected. That's exactly right. So, all right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Sorry for making you wait.
No, it's all right, I appreciate your time and your
And
efforts.
we are scheduled,
I will.
we are scheduled to meet on the 7th at 10 o'clock in here for the water line thing.
Oh, yes, I got that on this.
Did you get my email?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
Now Kelly feels privileged, she's gonna expect it every time.
that's right.
Foil.
Okay, next item of business is consideration of selecting the number of candidates to interview for the landfill position. I'm under the assumption we all looked at the applications, have an idea of what we want to recommend for the number.
I did not get a chance to look at all of them,
Okay.
but I'll listen to you.
Well, to me, it becomes a timing thing too, so I know we have tomorrow's meeting as well. I have a recommendation personally after looking at the applications, but I'll defer
I can go in there
for
and
your,
plan on doing it after this meeting, actually.
6 applications. One, I thought there one came to the top. Thank you. So there's 9 in the motion.
Good, thanks.
And we wanted to put, let's see, 30-minute time limit, 30-minute interviewing.
5 between or 10
minutes of
between.
discussions, that's 40 minutes per. If you did 6, 240 minutes. I don't have a problem doing all of them.
I do.
Okay.
I'm not interested in interviewing all 6.
I agree, there's at least 1 or 2 then.
But I told you, I had some personal opinions, but I'll defer. So,
I personally was willing, and that's where I was to begin with, is cutting it down to 3 or so,
Yeah, I
because
was
you can
fine with that.
pretty
Yeah,
much
no problem.
take a look at who's there.
And there's,
But I gotta check, maybe all of them are.
Well, for me, it sorted naturally when I looked at the applications. That's why I was hoping we could have that done today, but we can defer this until tomorrow.
Yes, good.
you want to do just the top 3?
Well, if Bill hasn't looked at the applications, I don't think it's fair.
I think, Bill, you need to look
I
at it.
can do it quick, and if you want to, we can, just put on the agenda.
Um,
What are we
Probably a
gonna do?
little dicey now, but we could,
Maybe we finally have some unfinished business. Could we do that?
no, because we're not having this business interrupted by any unnatural emergency.
Scream real loud.
But we could put it on the end of the agenda and probably be okay for tomorrow.
I'm okay.
So I move to postpone the item of business of selecting the number of candidates for the landfill position until tomorrow's meeting.
Yeah, we're not gonna really lose any time, actually.
It's been moved and seconded to postpone. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So you will look at those then.
We get out of here.
And, yeah, and then I just think we need to give Donna adequate time to reach out to however many candidates we're gonna interview, so that will be the next consideration there. Discussion of the jail security improvements. Oh, Good morning. Welcome.
Barely.
It is morning. It's all that matters. Depending on who's buying lunch today, may have more to do with it than anything. Oh, really? Thank you. Nice. Under Sheriff Barr, maybe. Nice.
When's your deadline? When are you not gonna be here?
April right now.
So I've visited with Sheriff Biley a little bit. Obviously, he's got some, in my opinion, some serious issues over there, and so I think he feels the same way. That's why he asked to be on the agenda today, so.
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of just give you an update, on where we're at, and what we're looking at. I don't have any definitive answers yet, and I have, Sheriff Barr here as well, so he can add to and comment, as well, but, kind of thought you guys might just be a little curious, I mean, after, the incident earlier, or last month, I guess now, but, so, the big challenge is, right, so we can only work with what we have, and the reality is you guys have toured the jail pretty well aware of how that's laid out in the situation it is, and it's pretty tough to take a building that's inherently, safety, hurdle, I'll put it nicely, it's a challenge, and try to make it more safe, and so we're really limited in our options. The cause of that break, or the escape, I should say, really comes down to the fact that we have, we had a detention deputy that was in the pod with the inmates and had a key, a physical key, so that they could overtake her. They know that she was the only detention deputy working in there, and they could overwhelm her, lock her in a cell once they took the key, and then they could get out. One of the big challenges, right, is so she wasn't the only one in the building at the time. We had 2 patrol deputies in the patrol room when this happened.
Wow, I didn't know that.
But inherently, right, in any jail facility, whatever, they're separate, and so you can be in the patrol room, you have no idea what's going on at the jail at the time. So she was screaming and yelling, you can't hear back there. And so, the solution isn't, necessarily that, well, this happened and it was an anomaly, because it could be. I'm surprised it hasn't happened in the past, quite frankly, even though, we didn't really think that we would have that issue, obviously, or we would have tried to do something differently before, so.
Just a quick question, because part of the problem too was the faulty lock, right? Which you got.
So that wasn't what
Is that what got her
caused this,
into
but
the
we
pod?
do have some issues with locks.
I know
But
you do.
But that didn't lead to this
That didn't lead to her
specific
being in there by
incident
herself.
necessarily.
Oh, I thought
Correct.
maybe that was
No,
the problem.
so what happens is, right, so.
Any confidential information that's being live streamed on our
Right.
failures at the jail.
Right. So, but it's been part of the jail tour stuff,
I thought that was
so our
looking for a quick-
jail sergeant, Ann Lawashi, she's been here for over 12 years now, and she's said that they've had struggles with some of those locks before she started working at the sheriff's office. And we have repeatedly, worked on those locks and continue, but at some point, right, the locks wear out, they're mechanical.
Sure.
And they do. And you can't replace those locks. There's no one that will work on them, the system is outdated, and so we have 3 different companies right now that are scheduled to come to do an analysis of the jail, look at the locks, look at the mechanisms, the system, and provide us with some recommendations on how we can improve that security. One of those that we want them to consider is a way so that when a detention deputy's there by themselves and they go into the pod, they don't have a key with them. So that's gonna be a biometric lock of one sort or another, whether it's a fingerprint, whether it's a code, something along those lines. Technology continues to evolve, and so, we wanna be able to upgrade those locks to something that isn't outdated now, so that it can be, cause we don't know how long, we're gonna be in that jail, and so that's just the reality of it, so,
Point of
it's
clarification,
gotta be serviceable.
if I may. So, you say so that we can get to a position where a detention officer didn't have to be in the pod with a key. The reason that is now necessary so they can get back out if they're the only one there, because there's
Right,
nobody there to
right,
buzz them
right.
in and out, right?
So
they
during
have
the
to
day,
unlock
there's
to
more
get
than
out.
one detention,
Right.
because it's busy during the day, and one detention deputy can't have, so you have two, right? Well, when someone goes into the cell, there's someone to buzz them out. And when I say buzz them out, you know, you guys know and understand how it works, but the people that are listening, you know, with the control panel, and, you know, will show up. You know, we've got one of the locks that continually will show that it's locked and it's not, and then we have another cell door that we're not using that cell currently because it doesn't lock or unlock reliably.
As it should,
So we're
yeah.
not gonna, so it's closed and shut down, and we just don't open that cell door.
So the policy is you can go in there, one person can go in anytime.
They have to,
I know,
because,
I get it.
yeah, because you have to do hourly rounds all through the
Right,
night.
and there
They
wouldn't
have
be
to go in
any-
every hour.
Any logic to putting two in there until the equipment's fixed or whatever.
Well, I don't have the personnel. to
I know,
do it.
that's why I'm asking.
Yeah,
It's
so
just-
I
we're
mean,
just getting it
the only
out.
way to essentially have what we have two people on the time is I'd have to hire a minimum of two more people, because you gotta have,
Got a crew.
yeah, you gotta have to, you know, you have two different shifts, working night shifts, so you gotta have a person on each shift, so, you know, that's a huge expense, and I'm not saying that isn't the best answer. What I'm saying though is financially, I don't think the county can afford to do that. I just don't think we can, because now you're looking at 45, you know, true cost to the county, not wages, but by the time you add in all the benefit package and everything, you're looking at $100,000 for two people. I just don't think that's cost effective when we have 8 people, you know, 8 to, 11 people in the gym. So that's why we're looking at the doors now. We're just guessing right now, but I mean, I can't imagine that it's gonna be cheaper than $1,800 per door. I can't imagine it's cheaper. I hope that I'm wrong, but we all know how that goes, right? When you start talking about jail equipment, the price immediately goes up 120%, I think. I think it's just automatic,
12 doors?
12 doors. So,
So if it's 2,000 a door, we're looking at 24 grand, 25,000.
and so I'm just giving you a heads up, that's what it is. Now, obviously, I'm not gonna make a decision and spend that money until I come back to you, because as we all know, that I don't have that money in my budget for that kind of, I mean, I have some repairs and all that, but I don't have 24,000 in my budget for one expense. So, once we get a better idea, and Chris, jump in if you have any other thoughts on that one, but once we get a good idea on the best solution, and we're gonna, you know, ask for a couple solutions and cost, then we'll come back to you and we'll say, listen, these are the solutions. What are your thoughts on addressing?
Yeah, that's a good idea, and then we also, I'm sure you've prioritized your budget, so if you're 24K, and you look at how you would absorb it, that knocks out something that's very, very important, we gotta understand that.
Yeah.
So that we have the ability to justify bringing
Absolutely.
in others.
Yeah,
So we need to see.
we'll try to pull as much money out of the budget as we can to cover that. I just
Well,
want.
not, just, if you can't, you can't, but you gotta show us, that's all I'm
Right.
saying.
No, completely understood. Yeah, and that's why I wanted to just come now and say, listen, this is what we're doing. You know, we've done a lot of other procedural type, well, I can't really say a lot, because it's important to know that, so that detention deputy didn't do anything wrong. She didn't violate policy. She wasn't neglectful, I mean, she wasn't, I mean, it could happen to anybody. The reality is that we were pretty, do I need to say
No,
up here where it's?
no, you're fine.
no.
She
Got a
wasn't
mic
able to
problem
hear.
The
here.
reality is this has been, you know, this is the situation we have in the jail when we have one person there at night. Guy, gal, it doesn't matter. And quite frankly, I think we were very fortunate that she did get hurt, worse
You
than
bet.
she did. But procedurally, we've done a few things differently, but there's really, again, you know, it wasn't like there was neglect or that she broke policy or anything. The way the jail's designed and the way we're staffed right now, that's the reality of it. And then lastly, I know there was some of the keyboard warriors out there on Facebook, you know, that this person probably got fired and all that. That's not true. The person that the reason we haven't had a vacancy or have a vacancy is that person was already leaving prior to this.
Didn't have anything to do with the escape.
Had nothing to do with it, it was a complete coincidence, so,
Right.
so that was not, in fact, that detention deputy, she is a tough cookie, and she was not intimidated by the fact, she was actually, quite angry about the situation, and,
And to that end,
not
Shannon,
intimidated.
she was scheduled to go off shift the next day, right? I mean, that was, she had a
Yeah.
3-day
Yeah.
break coming.
Right.
I had people say, well, she's not there anymore. I said,
Yeah.
she's on her normal rotation, she's
Right.
not working for
Yeah.
the next
Oh,
3
no,
days.
she didn't.
So,
She didn't.
didn't have anything to
Because
do with
we
that.
offered that, you know, if she needed some days off or anything, she was like, absolutely,
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
fine. She was more angry than anything.
Did we have any luck reaching out to the other company besides Johnson Controls?
I'm in the process, sent some emails out this morning,
Okay.
and we'll get them. I have one guy that's coming on Thursday from Johnson and Controls, but two other companies, Cornerstone Locks and a place called Corvinus Security Solutions, which is probably our best bet, but again, we're gonna go with three just to say that we covered that and see what they offer.
The reason I ask is now, let's talk about ideally a schedule, time frame. I mean, hopefully within the next couple months maybe, or
We're hoping.
that we could get a couple of quotes and make a decision and move forward,
Yeah.
I
right?
really reached out to different jails around the region and said, who are you guys using? And it's the best way to go, right, because then they're, like Fremont County's
Sure.
happy with who they use and Polk County's happy with who they
Right.
use.
So timeline, it's 2 months and you're happy with how you're gonna handle
Wow.
it in the interim.
So my hope is that
Maybe.
within the next 30 days, we'll have somebody
Something that-
here, we'll have at least a viable solution to, then we can, I can come to you. we can
Contract
look
with
at it,
and,
And then, of course, you know, it's just getting on their schedule when the
Sure.
contractors can get that work done.
I would add this too, just, you know, for the people listening out there, is that we have made some changes to alleviate that, so now, the jail staff do not go into the pod if the inmates are out.
That's what
They
I was
lock them
asking.
down.
right,
So until we can come up with a solution on our lock
Right.
situation.
But that's the see, that's not foolproof though.
Right.
Because
You still have
that's what
rounds.
led to this issue
Right.
is those two would not lock, they refused to lock down, so she had to go into the pond.
Right.
Or into the pod to, convince them.
Right.
But in
or
that
to-
case, she could call somebody to
Right.
go in.
We've had those.
Right.
So that
Yeah,
would be the
that's what
scenario.
we're
You
gonna
wouldn't,
do.
you wouldn't let
Yeah.
her go in by herself.
Right, well,
Or
that's-
anybody
well,
go in.
well,
If
you
that's the
still have to
policy.
go in to do
Yeah,
rounds.
but what
Well,
we're
I
gonna do
understand,
is-
but if they're refusing, that means, to me, that's
Right.
a call that says, all right, let's get 2 guys in there,
And
we're
we've
gonna go
changed-
work this.
And we've ensured that they understand that now.
Yeah.
So we have all the inmates locked down, and if one refuses, a patrol deputy will come in and,
Right.
help ensure that those folks understand that, they can lock down, willfully or unwillfully, but they will lock
Yeah.
down.
Now, not counting patrol deputies, are you fully staffed in the jail?
Not yet, no, so we're one down right now.
One down.
But,
You're looking at
we did
for a
interviews
detention.
yesterday, Under Sheriff Barr and, the staff did interviews
Detention
yesterday, so
officer.
we'll be offering, somebody a position here in the
Okay.
next,
And on the patrol side, are you staffed?
we're down one,
Down
with
one.
Deputy Dustin leaving, we have one, we've got a few applications and we're waiting.
So law enforcement, we're down 2 right now, 1 jail, detention.
Right, yes.
What else is a concern over there besides this locking mechanism?
Well, you know, we've talked about, so we're gonna do some upgrades to the kitchen once, the weather,
Yeah.
improves. So we'll take care of that,
I mean, on the jail side, is that the biggest issue now?
oh, boy, yeah.
Clearly.
Just getting those locks, fixed, and, you know, that issue, just a solution. You know, we were hoping that we wouldn't have to drop, you know, $25,000 on that, but, the point has come, you know, it's come to the point where the folks that installed those, they refuse to come out. They're like, we're not working on that stuff,
Right.
on that
It's
system anymore.
Not supportable.
Too outdated.
The last time they
Too
came
bad.
out and worked on it, it was working the way it's supposed to when they left, and they probably didn't even get back to their office, and it was malfunctioning again, and they said, no, we're not.
You don't want the liability of fixing it.
Well, yeah, they just, cause it's so old.
Yeah,
I'm assuming the hope will be that we can get this fixed without getting into replacing doors and door jams.
Ooh, let's hope, let's hope.
Right.
You know, at least, I mean, the doors and the door jams are still, I mean, you know, they're wired so that all the conduits in place, so if they have to replace wiring and stuff, our hope is that they can do all of that and it won't be any,
see, they're embedded.
Mechanical.
That'd be very hard to do.
what's that?
They're all embedded, right, into the
Yes,
concrete.
yeah, so we're hoping that they can just use the existing conduit and make it work again. You know, we're just gonna have to have specialists that
Right.
do.
Okay, well, I think when it comes down to it, we're not gonna have any choice. We're gonna have to find the money and we're gonna have to get this problem taken care of.
Yeah, hopefully, you know, like I said, hopefully that cost is,
Right, because right now, you're down a whole cell, right? Number 2 is down and out of commission, you can't even use it.
yes, right.
So, and you
I
have,
mean, if we were forced to use it, we would, but we're gonna avoid it as, you know, best we can
and we're doing a jail tour tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Under Sheriff Barrow is gonna be on staff.
And we can show you the
Yeah,
problem with
right.
the second
There's how many cells? 6 or?
one. Six.
6. 3 on each side.
Right.
So you take one out of there. 15%, 16% of our capacity's down.
Time is the jail tour? Right after?
Right,
Right
yeah,
after.
and let's talk about that real quick too. We had scheduled that, we didn't set a time for it, it was after the commissioner meeting. I spoke with these 2 gentlemen yesterday. I think it would be best for all of us if we could go over right after the meeting before we break for lunch.
I agree.
You okay with that? So I'm assuming we should be noonish tomorrow. Maybe a little earlier, but.
We'll do our best to get there by 11.
Hold your breath, big boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Gotta set a goal.
So, well, thank you for coming in. Thank you for waiting. Appreciate that. So, yeah. Okay, so we will move on if we're okay with that. Then let's talk about the Justice Center project, which is next on the agenda. Sheriff Biley and I have visited about this a little bit. I think both of us are actually looking for some direction to go, and so I would allow Sheriff Biley some opening comments about
So I
that.
was gonna send an email out to the team again that, that's been helping us with this, and, see if we can't set up a meeting, here in the next couple of weeks. Obviously, I'll send out and offer up 3 or 4 dates, so hopefully, all 3 of you can come to that meeting, just because, you know, we're at the phase now where we've gotta hire, after receiving that grant money, we need to make a decision on who we're gonna hire to help us determine how we come up with the money to move forward with the project, if we can. And so.
Yeah, and that would be with the whole team, not just the half team we were working.
Well,
or
and
it'd be
again,
the-
well, that's.
Whoever the members
That's
are.
what I was hoping to get your
Right.
input on a little bit. How big of a group do you want for that? Obviously, that's gonna be a decision that you guys are gonna have to take all the information and then make a decision in a commissioner.
See, we had a regular committee, and then we had one for the purchase of the land, which is sort of separate.
Right.
And they don't necessarily have to be the same.
I think it's key that we have some of the citizens,
I
you know, that
Yeah.
have been in the process from the very
Beginning.
beginning. They have a lot of information and inside knowledge because they've been in that process, so I certainly wouldn't wanna leave them out. But
I
again,
would
that's
think
your
the
decision.
Yeah.
Just recommendation, I think the full committee and whoever can show up,
Yeah.
you know, the more heads, the
better.
better it's gonna
Mhm.
be.
Right.
More
Yeah,
ideas are gonna come out, and
Because the citizens have been valuable.
I agree
Right,
completely.
invaluable,
They've been
I should say.
terrific, yeah. Yeah. So
You
I
gonna
would-
send out an invite?
So I'll send out, yeah, and then I'll offer up 3 or 4 dates, and then I guess with just whoever, you know, or does that work for you?
Get us some
specifically for you
windows,
guys?
that's the best thing,
Because it's-
because everybody's different.
Right, and as we, you know, now we're starting to talk about money and stuff, that's kind of stepped out of my realm now, because you guys are the ones that ultimately are gonna have to be looking at that.
And we wanna get the right committee guys here, so give them some opportunity to,
Okay.
and then we can look at pick any of them that they can be, word it so that they can pick 2 or 3, as many as they can support, and then we'll see where the majority is.
Yeah, I think, that we're at this transition point where the county commissioners are gonna have to step up and be the driving force from here on. By necessity, mostly from the financial standpoint. I think Shannon has done a great job in getting us to where we're at. And he has said he would be willing to facilitate getting this next meeting put together, but I think now we need to start calling these meetings workshops. I think the commissioners need to run those meetings, and we need to move forward in whatever direction.
One question I do have, would you like to have Bob Johnson at that meeting as well to talk about options?
I think so.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we've got those options in front of us.
I don't know,
I
I'm just
don't either.
throwing it
I
out.
don't know,
I'm kinda like,
except expounding on them, I mean, we kinda know what he's laid out for us,
Yeah.
so.
But is he,
I don't- I
he's
didn't-
one of the ones that would implement it, right, or could? I mean, are we looking for putting out a bid for people to come and help us advertise this, or are we thinking maybe
Well-
RJA's gonna do it for us?
No, I
No.
think RJA's out of that loop completely.
well, I think they'll help a little bit
think they
once
were
we
willing
make
to
a
help.
decision.
Well, that's what I'm
But I
saying,
think
we gotta
right-
make a decision
Right,
first.
right now, though, we've got to be able to, we've got to hire,
Somebody.
someone like George K. Baum or
Yeah.
another group that can come in and say, okay, look, the only way you're gonna raise X amount of dollars is if you do this, or this, or,
Right.
I mean, I don't know, that's way out of my realm.
And I would think after that happens, then, yeah, we probably need to get back with Bob and,
Yeah.
but until then, I think we gotta go through another.
So you guys really think RJA has no interest in helping promote this and competing to help us? I mean, if they
Oh,
are,
yeah.
it would be wrong for them to be at the meeting then. I mean, you don't wanna put them in a conflict of interest where they're building the requirements to go put it out, to go ask people to come and help us.
Well, my opinion was, I thought we were gonna contract with a third party to give us that direction.
That's
I
right.
didn't think that would include Bob and his company, but
But he might be interested, I don't know. And they've got a lot of expertise, so
in,
you could ask them if
I
they
mean,
want.
I don't know their company that well. I didn't assume they had a lot of expertise in arranging for financing, which is our next step.
I don't know, you ought to ask them.
So I know
Before we
they've worked,
invite 'em.
well, I know from what Bob Johnson said, so they worked with George K. Baum quite a bit.
Right.
You know, and George K. Baum was like the big name of people of companies that help
Right,
government agencies fund projects like this and figure out how they're gonna fund them.
so, I was dealing with RJA, that's why I'm asking these questions, cause they were getting this far onto that last bit of money. So, yeah, would they be willing to come down here under the old contract and, or would they be coming down on their own gig, say? Or if they're, maybe I ought to call them and ask them if they think they are interested in going the next step, then we gotta figure out how we handle it. Just to keep us out of trouble.
They have some expertise in this area that we do not have.
That's right.
They've done it with other municipalities. It seems to me like they would be a valuable source to give us input in the best way to go. So I personally would not have an issue having them here,
And then having them
because this is
compete
really
for the
beyond their
job.
scope. Their scope, is the building and the design and all that stuff, but raising the money, they have expertise in it, but we know we're not gonna hire them
I'm
to
all
do it.
for that. Well, I don't know. See, that's why I'm
Well,
asking.
it's
I don't
not-
know if they do that on the side too. Is all
No,
I'm.
it's not their business.
Okay.
They
If that's the
recommend-
case, then they'd have to understand we're not gonna be putting out, they wouldn't be bidding on the next step.
Cause Bob recommended that we
Yeah.
go out to
Right.
a third party to
Okay, so
help us
that's fine.
figure out how we're gonna pay
Right,
for it.
and-
I'm good with
But
it.
they have some expertise that we don't, so.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I
I'd like to
think
use
they should
whoever's
come
got
down.
the brains. I would like to have them here personally.
I do too. I only was cautioning it in case we
Yeah.
wanted them because of the,
No, I
Option
concur with
that-
what you're saying.
okay.
If it would be a conflict, it would give them an inside track.
Sure.
If they were gonna bid too, be inappropriate. But
Right.
since they're not in the running, they just have expertise.
Okay.
And they certainly would probably be able to go, hey, look, so you could look at this company, this company, this company,
Yeah,
this
let's
company.
get them
We've worked
down.
with all of these people before, they can help you in that, because, I mean, I certainly don't know
Right.
companies that help.
Well, I know the town of
Just raise
Westcliff has
money.
hired a company to help them try and arrange for the 1% sales tax, and it's not mom, it's a lady.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
it's
cause
good, bad, or
there's more
different, I
than
don't know.
one company that does that,
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
So then, yeah, I'll just include him in on the emails,
Yeah.
and we'll see if he wants to come to help out with that. I mean, it certainly can't hurt.
Well, why don't you just ask him to and see what he says?
Okay,
Don't give him the option to quit.
okay, fair enough. Okay. So I'll try to get that email out today. I have a full afternoon, so, if not, though, it'll certainly be this week. I'll get it out and we'll see, we'll try to get a meeting set up, by the end of the week. Okay.
Sounds great.
Yeah, I think so. I sent an email just now to Donna. I can't remember, is the underfunded grants a reimbursement process?
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to come up with that money ahead of time.
No, I
$30,000.
think you draw it, you bill it as you're going along.
I asked her, I haven't heard back from her, so.
I mean, that was my
And
understanding.
I don't have internet.
Good question.
Yeah, I'm not up now either on the internet.
She's probably listening intensely to this new system we've got.
So, you know, I think that's the next step. We gotta find out about the financial arrangements and get somebody under contract to move us forward with exploring funding mechanisms.
Right.
And then once that all occurs, then we start over on,
And that's why I'm like, look, so
Construction.
Yeah.
you gentlemen you're gonna have to drive that train now because it's
Right.
money.
Right.
And I certainly don't.
That is our job.
Yeah, I certainly can't be in
uh,
that position.
I'd like to look at the calendar a little bit.
I can't.
I don't know about February, if we could get, we got some hoops to jump through before we contract with anybody, and the next question after, is it a reimbursable grant, which I think it is, but then are we gonna have to put this out for bid? That's a question, I guess, for council. It's a grant. The grant was given to us to secure a third party for financial recommendations. Are we gonna have to contact 3 different companies? Would we be able to select one on our own?
I think you can just choose one, you're not spending county funds, I mean, since it's a grant, I think
Right.
we can just go ahead and spend it.
And the grant was specifically to contract a third party to help. I mean, that was in the language of the grant, so.
But I do think it's prudent though to at least
You
reach
get
out
some-
and get,
Couple.
you know. at
See
least-
who's interested.
Probably at least 2 or 3 that might be interested in doing that and
I agree.
be responsible with that grant money.
In my opinion, Bob Johnson may be of value for that. He might have some other names. Hey, here's
That's what we
3 of the
said.
top hitters in Colorado.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think a full committee, I think we owe that to the people that gave their time to come in and sit on that early committee.
And we
At
may
least to
find
invite
some
them.
that.
If they can't make it, they can't
Yeah,
make it.
And they may wanna play more into the PR piece of this as well.
Exactly, we're gonna need all the warm bodies we can get,
Yeah.
so, I'll throw out some dates, and then gentlemen, you can certainly jump in there with your calendars as well. I'm available the 12th.
Yeah, that'd be good, just,
I'm not.
thanks, I
Okay.
appreciate it.
Well, but Tom, we still have an issue with everybody else on the committee, so.
Yeah,
I
he's just
think
trying to give,
We can't,
cause I think we should work around
Right.
your
Well-
schedules.
we're not gonna be able to get 17 people to agree on a date. We're gonna have to
No,
probably
but
pick
you wanna get the
2 or 3
majority, you know,
dates and
and we
say,
would like to get the majority,
Right.
and we don't have to have all 3 commissioners there, we can go 2
well, I
or-
think we're gonna have
We
to
should
start
try.
having all commissioners there, because we gotta move forward.
That's true. But you gotta do it with the resources you have, so we can start with
Valentine's Day,
what we got.
14th.
I'm out of town.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry. How
The
about
20th in the afternoon, because we're doing interviews in the morning, okay?
That could work.
The 20,
Matter of fact, that's probably the,
17th or 18th work for me.
yeah, I just don't think we should be getting into people's holidays.
the
That's
20th
my
gets to
problem.
be
Oh, okay.
tight
Yeah,
because
you're
of
fine.
the
18th?
18th is wide open for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
18th?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
17th's that holiday. I'd just soon not ask people to
Oh,
come
it is,
in.
you're right, that's true.
So the
So
18th
18th.
works, the 12th works for me, I'm just throwing out what works for me.
Sure.
The 25th, 27th. We could do 28th in the afternoon, we have a BOCC meeting here with a staff
Do
meeting
the
to follow,
28th.
but.
Can't
by-
do that, I can't do the 3 days before that.
Before what?
The 25, 26, or 27 you can't do?
I can't do the 24, 25, and 26, 27 maybe.
27, maybe 28 in the afternoon.
28 after we'll break for lunch, then go
Yeah.
Let's
have
do
the
that.
meeting after that.
'Cause
Okay,
the
so
day's kinda
I'll put that as the number one choice,
Okay.
and then if,
Yeah, we,
and then offer up the 27th as the second choice maybe, or the 18th?
sure,
I have a,
yeah.
yeah, that's fine. I have an attainable housing meeting at 2:30 in the afternoon.
And what day?
What day is attainable housing, Jay?
27th at 2:30 or
Okay.
2 o'clock?
So then it'd
2
have to be
o'clock.
8.
Yeah, it'd have to be in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
Uh,
25th or 24th are both open for me.
Commissioner Candy can't make
Oh, okay.
those.
Sorry about that.
There's, I mean, you guys have given me 3 days there that
Right,
would work, so let's see if we can't make
Okay.
one of those 3 days work.
Sounds like a plan.
March 9 through 13.
Good sticker on your phone.
Oh, the
Tourism board.
tourism board has them. I'll get you some. I got some small ones and some big ones.
March 9 through the 13th, I would be available.
Well, hopefully we could get it done.
Like
before
I'm
then,
hoping,
Just
but-
because,
March 9, 10 would be good.
because June will be here before we know
I
it,
know.
if we don't,
Exactly.
Alright.
So yeah, I think if we can, I mean, we just can't ask 17 people to tell us what day they're available. I think if we shoot them 3 or 4 options and the majority of them,
That's why I said we could pick
But I think the 3
several
of you
windows
being
and
there
let
is
'em-
more
let 'em
important
look
than
at
any
it.
of the rest of us,
Right.
at this
Right.
point. Okay,
so.
we'll push for those 3 days, we'll see what happens.
And you'll invite Bob.
Yeah, I'll see
Once
if we
we
can
get-
make any of those,
okay.
yeah.
Well, and really, again, here you go, doing our job. I appreciate you doing that.
No, I'm fine with that, we just gotta drive on that.
Right.
And if nothing else, if Bob can't make one of those meetings, he could maybe send us an email and just say, hey, listen, here's some recommendation, or here's some companies we've worked with in the past.
Right.
That'd be great.
Take it for what it's worth.
Or you could dial in.
Or we
Ms.
could
Donna,
do that.
we were discussing, and I sent you an email, you may not have gotten it, but,
I was in
okay.
the program.
I was asking if you knew the underfunded courts is a reimbursable grant. I should know it and I don't. If I'd have thought about it, I'd have found out, but,
It was renewed and all that,
Yeah.
so I just don't know.
I think it is, but, we're just gonna have to have 30 grand.
How was RJA, what did we do with the last grant?
And
It
I
was
don't
the same
have a
grant.
problem with that.
no, I
Did
don't
they
need it.
draw on
Just-
it
it's
as we
just-
got it? Did they just
consider
cut
it.
it
Back, I
Yeah.
mean,
It's the same
it's a
thing.
timing thing,
And we
like
could
the
probably
car.
bill it and get reimbursed before we ever have to
Yeah,
write the
that's
check.
right. This is exactly the same.
But
Well,
I'm sure that
no.
turnaround's
Yeah,
probably pretty
process
quick,
it.
though.
Was RJA underfunded court?
Yes, you did the briefing on it.
Yep.
I did the second briefing.
And he got thrown out on.
Yeah, that's right.
No, that was for the funding, that was for this round.
Yeah, and the last round was the
Same-
same, it was an
same grant.
underfunded grant.
Same grant source, I should say, not the same.
Right,
Yeah.
same grant source.
Same grant source, same grant process.
Should be pretty quick.
It should have been the
turnaround,
same.
'cause it's already been approved, so all you have
Right.
to do is just submit the bill and
Right,
They reimburse us.
so it's not like we'd be out that money for 6 months.
and it could be timing, we could get billed for it
Don's good
potentially
at
early.
moving the money around.
Most of the time, as the bill comes in, like the 21st, 22nd, once those are known, then it can be submitted
In the cycle.
in there and they just slide through.
Okay, all right, thank you, sir, appreciate it.
Right, thanks, Joe.
Anything else?
So what you did was come here and talk to us
No,
about
I'm
how
trying
much
to
it's gonna
hurt you.
cost us.
Sorry if I broke any
Thank you,
bones
sir.
there.
What are you guys looking so sharp today?
Work, I assume, huh?
Not your BDUs.
I won't see that much.
Okay, next item of business, thank you, consideration of, Don, did you have a question, or, okay, all right. Consideration of an agreement with the two towns in the county on the point of contact letter. Commissioner Prince,
I think
I'd love
Kanda
to
had
talk-
it,
I'd
and
love to talk to
Jay
you
did
about
a
it.
great job. Here's the letter.
yeah,
A
I've got it.
copy of it too, since
Oh.
my computer, I was gonna pull up my computer, but unfortunately.
Yeah, I've got it too, but.
Okay.
Anyway,
It was just, as I always do, it's just a rough draft. Feel free to wordsmith
I
it,
think
change
you-
it any way you
I
like.
think you did it exactly right. All we're looking for is the single point of contact, working in behalf of all three entities with, and coordinating through them. I can't think of a better way to word it, unless you've got another suggestion. And you didn't even misspell anything this time, Jane.
You know, I try.
Yeah, the only thing when I read this, I wondered why the words point of contact wouldn't be included.
What'd they say?
Um,
As a representative of the three entities, you can put point of contact there if you want. It's the same thing, I think. Yeah, that's why, yeah. Jay, you want one?
Yeah, sure, if you got an extra.
sure. Group's pleasure.
You want, or you, Tom, CDOT requested that a point of contact or one person per in POC or point of contact maybe, that second paragraph. So
Yeah, I was actually looking at the third paragraph.
You could say, or down, that's where I looked at first, as a representative slash POC or per in POC, point of contact.
Commissioner Prince, you have a thought about that?
I'm fine either way. It appears clear to me, but then,
It's clear.
you know, I'm thinking
This
the way,
representative clears it, then
because I wrote it, I think it's clear, but if it's
Right.
not
That's
clear,
true.
you guys would know
it
that.
just further defines it.
Yeah, and then obviously subsequent to this letter's gonna go to the other two entities. They may have
They can change- wanna
opinions
change
as
it
well,
too, who
correct?
knows?
So,
So this is a draft, so I move we accept this as a draft, and, if you wanna put in the POC somewhere, I'm good with that. But I'll move that we accept this letter and then further forward it to the municipalities to review and comment, and we can have a discussion if you want.
I'll go ahead and second it.
okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve this draft letter. Do we need draft written across it, or are we okay?
I think we ought to put draft on.
I mean, I'll print it off when I have computer and I'll, you know, that
And it has
background
a
that you
draft
can put in,
banner
I'll
on
put, yeah, I'll put draft right
They can
along
look
with
at it,
that.
review it, and get it back to us, and we'll put it on our letterhead and send it out.
I'm gonna see Mayor Winky tonight. Do you wanna, does somebody wanna send it over to Mayor Laswell?
Sure.
Okay. I'll fix it right now, 'cause my internet is.
Okay, you don't have this on your,
Is yours up?
Yeah, I had it in my
do
board
on
packet,
home. What I do is I
Oh,
do it on
okay.
my home computer and I email it to
Okay.
myself, just because my home computer has a screen I can see. This one I can't.
further discussion?
What is it, the first heading, this letter agreement, shouldn't
Uh,
just be this agreement?
I did see that. It's either this letter of agreement or this agreement.
It's agreement of understanding, so this
Right.
would be
I don't
this
think the
agreement.
word
This
letter
agreement.
needs to be
I think
in
it's
there.
this agreement, you're absolutely right.
Take the word letter out?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
delete that.
No problem.
Yeah, you've got it up, so. Now, how come, yeah, you got it, okay.
So it would read this agreement by, and probably a comma after this agreement by and between Custer County, Town of West Cliff, Town of Silver Cliff.
I'll take out the the word letter. I'm used to doing letter agreements. This really isn't one I
So
agree.
agreement of understanding.
And then
Let's
I
try
don't,
not to make it into a true formal agreement, ratifications
this
and all
is
that
just
stuff.
a- this
Don't
is
do
just
it
a-
and
necessary.
because it's from all three of us, I don't think it should be on county letterhead.
Doesn't have, you said it should or shouldn't?
Should not.
Should not, I agree with that.
Yeah.
White paper.
Yeah,
All right, further discussion?
okay, so, I'm good.
Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Public comment, sorry. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries, so we will, Jay will forward this to
Okay, I will make that a.
Bill, well, forward the new one to all of us.
Yeah,
but
what I'm gonna do is
you'll
make two changes. I'm gonna take the word letter out, and I put the background of draft on it. Okay, and then I'll email it to everybody.
And actually, we can just email it to Steve and Paul, can't we?
Sure, why not?
We can.
Yeah. They'd get it today, for sure.
Let's
So,
do it.
okay. Cool. All right, thank you.
Do you want me, is your computer working, Ms. Quinn?
You want me to send it to you?
Want to take the word letter out and put draft in the background? Do you know how to do that in the background? It's called a watermark.
Yeah.
I'll help you.
I
I'll
can do
help
it.
you, dear.
I'll do it right now.
Carrie, are you connected to the
Your computer's working?
Wi-Fi?
Well, yeah, because I had it on my computer.
Oh, I got it. You do, yeah.
Yeah.
Is yours connected to the Wi-Fi, or do you want to send it to Kara and she can send it? Or make a print? No, she just needs to send it. Well, all right, that begs the question. You could put Tom's signature on it if we wanted to send it over.
Any way you want to do it? I'm happy, whatever you want to
Them
do.
review it. Well, we can ask for review and comment, they may change something.
Yeah, I don't think we want to sign a draft, do we?
Not a draft.
Well, we're going to write the word draft on it, so we probably don't want to sign
Yeah,
it.
you don't want to sign
And
that.
I'm struggling finding the draft. I'm at the insert, but
Kelly, do you know how to do it?
I thought it was under insert, but I can't seem to find it, so.
Look under,
Font.
edit.
Go-
Or
go-
paragraph.
Pardon me?
No, maybe not, maybe that's not worded.
Say how I find
Sometimes
it.
it's over here.
Yeah.
See where it says search, put watermark.
Yeah.
Write the word watermark and it'll take you right to
There
it.
it is.
Okay, and then, yeah, and then what you do is click on one,
And then type
whichever
your,
one you want,
Right.
and then you can change the word.
Custom either
Yeah,
one.
from confidential to
make
draft.
it on top so that it doesn't.
That's how I do it, because I never could find it unless I go to the search thing.
See
Yeah,
how this
there's a toolbar.
team works?
There's a toolbar that allow you to do it, but
I'm sure of it.
Huh.
So while we're kind of just sitting here at the moment, while our secretary is changing, our chair secretary is working.
Yeah.
To move forward with REACH, I would suggest maybe we put it on the agenda maybe for Wetmore so that we can discuss if we want to move forward, if we want to make changes. I'd like to just not let it drop here. I think we need to put it back on an agenda.
Yeah.
Are we okay with that, Tom?
I think so. Will we be able to do the background and the research we need to do before the 19th?
I'm not sure what research I need to do any further.
Well, I think we're gonna have to negotiate that contract.
Well, that's what I thought we would do at that meeting. The three of us at that meeting could look at the contract and say, let's change this, and then we could agree that we would go back to them with our proposal to change I mean, I don't know how else to do this unless you'd like me to go ahead
You
and
wanna
make
have a
the changes
discussion
I
now
like
about
and
it?
send them to you guys, and you guys can decide whether you like. We can't decide this outside of a meeting, obviously.
I'd be fine with
I have
putting
a
it.
question about the process here
Sure.
and how it's funded. Because, given that the medical board voted to cover the whole county with EMS, and they have the funds and the ability to raise money for the emergency services, not just ambulance. It seems to me to be appropriate that they would fund this and sponsor this for the county, as the county. Otherwise, we're getting two entities doing medical services. And I'm not sure how they take county money for an emergency service that we didn't specifically have a mill levy to go do. You know, we're taking money out of the other taxes that were allocated for other things to accommodate it. So it's a good thing to do, I think. And to me, having the medical board, the hospital district, I should say, which has agreed to do the emergency services would be a perfect place to put it. And then we don't have to go figure out how we're gonna fund this in the future.
Wow. Now, that's way beyond where I've been on this thing.
Well, but you gotta think
Simply
beyond it.
because I mean, we've heard Lisa tell us over and over, they don't have a penny to their name, they wouldn't fund, FreeCom, they don't have any money.
They have 3 mills for emergency services, and whether it's ambulance
They've been
or whatever.
using 3.5 mil for
And
EMS.
that's right, and they have to deal with that still, and because it's under their umbrella, they can use that $500,000 to supplement the ambulance. And I don't know, that's a medical board question, I don't know.
Once Heart of the Rockies comes in, that $500,000 goes away. They
No,
use-
it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Tom, can I ask you a question, please?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
And
a perfect answer.
From the discussion we had, though, is they have 3 mills that have been allocated for an emergency service within that.
For ambulance,
that's-
ambulance service.
EMS is what it says, so whether that's ambulance or whatever, I don't know. And if it means requiring another mill levy increase in order to cover that, it has to be covered. We just can't take road and bridge money, it's fenced, we can't take other monies that have been raised in a
I've done
budget, and we don't
background
even
work
have it
on
in our
this.
budget right now to come up with 24K.
I've spoken to financial people in the county. We have county funds.
What? I know we can go find money and move it out of another place that we had allocated it for this. But what's the big picture, Jay? And it seems to me it's logical to have it be part of the hospital district. And the funding for it, if it's a county, for all the county citizens, it would be voted upon by the county or a responsibility to be taxed by. Doesn't that make sense? That's what we would have to
It's
do
not on the
if we were gonna
agenda today,
take
so
it.
I'm not sure this
I
is
know,
very
that's why I
good.
wanted to talk about it.
I'm not trying to be argumentative, but I had no concept of this being connected to the clinic whatsoever. This is a county decision whether we
Well,
want to do
that's
it for our
the way I
feel.
citizens. It's
Yeah.
up to us.
It's an emergency medical service,
It-
which seems to be within the realm of
Hospital district.
the hospital district.
Well,
Because we gave them that responsibility to take it on for the county, and we backed out of it as a county, not we personally, but
Well,
if they weren't gonna take it, we were gonna personally take the emergency services as a county
I
function.
refuse to lump the ambulance and the air ambulance as one entity.
I don't know.
yeah, and the ballot said 3 mills designated for ambulance service in Custer County,
Yeah.
or in the hospital district. Didn't have any wording about EMS in it, it was ambulance service, that's
Okay,
what the 3 mills
It's
was
an air
for.
ambulance, it didn't say air or.
If the clinic wants to take this on, I'll bow out gracefully, cause it'll save us $20,000.
That's my
I don't-
point.
It ain't
The whole
happening.
point,
They
they've
don't
got
have-
money allocated for emergency medical services.
Bill,
And
they
if they
don't
don't
have
want-
the money, it's gonna die on the vine.
And it's not dedicated for emergency services, it's dedicated for ambulance service.
Well, it's an air ambulance, Tom.
I'm not saying it isn't, but that
an
3 mills was for ambulance service.
But, okay.
It could be air
I'm
or
not
ground.
gonna debate it, cause we're not, it's okay, but I am gonna debate where the money comes from if we pick it up, just like we would if we were to take this on away from the hospital district if they didn't wanna do ambulance service at all. Well, that's what we are obligated to do as commissioners. And this is an additional benefit for it that ought to be covered by that service, however we raise the money as a
So,
county.
if you wanna give county money to the hospital district for them to cover it and then give them the responsibility of this,
To pick it up,
that
maybe
would
we do
work.
that, yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
the ambulance, the EMS folks are the ones who handle the ground. If you wanted to give them the responsibility of air also, I don't have a big problem with that. The only thing I would do is say, we gotta fund it for them.
For now. Maybe it's picked up as a hospital district function, and I believe it should be, personally.
Well,
I can have my opinion, I'm just giving you guys an
It's
opinion,
fine.
that's all, and I'm not,
you're
and if
welcome to-
we're not trying to make a decision now, we gotta understand it enough so we understand what the next meeting's gonna cover.
if we're gonna pay for it, I disagree with what you just said, if I heard you correctly. If we're gonna pay for it, then the Custer County Commissioners will be doing it. End of discussion from where I sit. If the clinic wants to do it, I guess that's fine. I would,
And they haven't even
I
heard
would
about
defer
it.
to the clinic if they wanna pay the $20,000 for all the citizens of the county to be covered with air. But this conversation just negates the whole process of what got us here today. It wasn't about the clinic
And
doing it, it
that's
was
right,
about
and
us
the
doing
reason
it.
we were doing it before is because at that time, we were even willing to take on the ambulance ground function.
No,
But it's
a
two
long time
different,
ago.
two
no,
different
Bill.
things.
We,
Totally different. Hang on a second, let me finish, okay? Totally different. We had the question of the eastern portion of the district, ambulance service going out there. Totally and completely separate and distinct from that was, are we willing to pay for air ambulance service to cover the residents of the county? They're totally separate.
I would agree. I think those are two different animals to skin altogether. I mean, again, I would defer. If somebody wants to carry this message to the clinic and ask them if they want to do it, then we're out of it, from where I sit.
well, we got a committee guy here, and that's why, one of the things that got me thinking about it as we were discussing it, because we are picking up a medical function that I don't think that, to me, we had that responsibility initially as a county. We may, however the words were worded in the directive from the state, that we were accountable, could be accountable for the emergency services unless there was some other function, and that was picked up by the hospital district, and the county gave that to them some time ago. And they agreed to continue it throughout all of Custer County now. That was what they voted on the other day. So that, to me, says they're recovering emergency services for the county population, period.
I do too. Emergency service and an ambulance is two different things, totally.
EMS?
I don't know that
No,
they're totally different.
they're not, Tom.
It's emergency medical services.
And how they function,
Ambulance or ground ambulance or air ambulance is all costs are different.
So do you feel that, just your gut feeling, that if you would be willing, the hospital district would be willing to take on a $20,000 expenditure for air ambulance service for all the members of Custer County?
I don't know, it's a question
have to
that
look
the
at it.
ambulance, the hospital board has to.
I understand.
See, I think it's fair to ask them that. If they say, no count, no, then that's something that, because we are accountable.
In asking them, I think we make our own decision.
Yeah, I don't either, but.
They have the ability to raise the money for emergency services already legally, and they've got that function. We will have to come up with a way of funding this.
Absolutely, no,
And that's something that we would have to tax our people to do.
Well,
You can't take it out of nothing. And so, we already don't have enough money to operate everything we've got to operate.
we don't have enough money to
We have,
operate.
we always,
We have an
there's
$8
a need for
million
more.
budget, and we have a surplus every
No,
year. When I
that's
talked
not
to
what I
Donna
meant. You know
Hobby,
what? That's not what I meant,
She told
Jay.
me that
We
paying
always-
$20,000 for this would be a piece of cake.
If we could put more money in the road and bridge, we should. If we had the existing extra money, we can always vote to supplement that budget if we wanted to, or any of the other
Well,
budgets.
the
So
road
what's,
bridge fiddle is
and I
ridiculous.
love this idea, 20,000 isn't a lot to pay. And it seems to me the hospital district could absorb that and then, I don't know, that's something to ask them.
Totally disagree, but that's fine. That's why there's three of us, and we're welcome to have three different opinions.
That's right.
And I respect yours. I just respectfully
And I
feel
respect yours, too.
differently. And I appreciate that.
And I'm all for the ambulance, by the way, the air ambulance.
Good.
so the original question was, do we want to put it on the agenda for the February 19th meeting? don't have a problem with that.
Because this would be a more appropriate way to discuss it, so that if anybody wants to join one side.
That's
they
a
have-
good idea, and
So
now,
let's
that's why I brought it
continue.
up, because we gotta know what the agenda item's gonna be, and I agree with you. And we got a great opportunity to get the interest over there, and we'll put it on our agenda, and let's have a discussion. And if we can,
Ms. Kerr, would you please put consideration of air ambulance service on the
Contract.
contract? Yes, thank you.
You know, just air ambulance and ground ambulance are two different definitions here. I mean, they're treated separately. It's not lumped together as
Right.
emergency medical service in the statutes.
Yeah, I mean,
how's the statute address air ambulance?
Air ambulance means a fixed wing or rotor wing aircraft that's equipped to provide air transportation. And then when you get down under ambulance service, it talks about ground transportation.
Well, sure.
So, I mean,
But it
it's,
says form of emergency medical service.
Let's discuss it on this second. I don't feel comfortable today.
I don't
Not
either.
on the agenda.
I agree.
If people want to comment, they're not here to be able to comment. I think we're off topic discussing it much further. I mean, I get your point, I respect it, but I think I'd like to do it where people have an opportunity. Because I know Lisa sent me a little email earlier saying she saw that the gentleman from Reach were here. I mean, it was on the agenda, so I'm not feeling bad if she didn't want to show up, but I think we need to do that if she would like to discuss any of this.
That's why that's why I wanted to bring it up, so that we covered it correctly. If it's booked as we're gonna go consider to hire them and consider a contract in that meeting, that's one thing. It's another thing to consider the big picture, and maybe it can be done in conjunction with it. But people that come and comment need to understand it. I mean, if they all came to say, yeah, we want service, and it's gonna be not, able to discuss who's gonna do it, the best way for the county.
Not, up until 7 or 8 minutes ago, there was never a question in my mind.
I know.
Who would do it if we chose to do this? I'm not going any further because I'm going to put my foot in my mouth.
so
and
would
not
you
keep
read
doing
what you
it.
have?
I have consideration of Reach Air ambulance contract.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, ma'am.
Is this at the community center and what?
Yes,
9 o'clock?
9 o'clock.
Or 1 o'clock, just depending on when we get.
Yeah, I have no idea what the time would be when the agenda item would come up, the fourth one, so yeah, probably be 10:30-ish. 10:30. Okay, we'll move on, thank you, ma'am. Consideration of the transfer of funds, Ms. Kelly?
So, I screwed up.
Write that
On
down
the
first
transfer of
time.
funds, from the affordable housing to the county general, I picked up the dollar amount out of the contract instead of what was actually paid.
Oops.
So, we need to rescind that one and then redo it with the new amount of 1,165 instead of 1,854.48.
So it's really a bookkeeping deal here, but the amounts need to be correct, so do we need to rescind our other motion? And let me see if I can pull that up, so I get, do you have the dollar amount,
Yeah,
the old dollar amount?
it's 1,854.48. And it was done on the 31st.
Okay. I would move that we rescind the action of approving the transfer of $1,854.48 from the Affordable Housing Fund to the county general fund that was approved January 31st, 2019.
I'll second it, but didn't we change the name to Attainable
Yeah,
Housing?
we'll get to that in just a second.
Sorry.
It's been moved and seconded to rescind the action of approving the transfer of $1,854.48 from affordable housing to county general fund. Discussion. At the time this was done,
Was it-
Commissioner
Yeah, good idea.
prints, it was affordable housing, so, we just need to watch to make sure we get the,
Yeah, so the one that we do
is
today
not
should
correct,
be
yeah.
tabled
Right,
then.
yeah.
Further discussion? Public comment? Hearing none, proceed to vote on, sorry. We'll proceed to vote. All in favor of rescinding the action of January 31, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. That action has been rescinded. What's the chair's, or what's the group's pleasure on the agenda item?
Okay, so what do we need to do to make this proper now?
I'll just change it
change-
before I
right.
sign it and give it to.
Right, we don't sign
Don't
this
have to s-
document.
don't have to do it.
So we don't need to do anything beyond this?
This
Yeah,
is-
we
this
need to.
is-
We need a motion to
motion to-
approve the
To
payment.
move the
Right.
money.
But we
And
don't
in
sign
your
it.
motion, you'll say attainable.
Right.
Because
Okay.
this is really just a copy of what goes in the minutes.
Got it.
So it would be to approve the transfer of 1165.
I so move.
I'll second it. Been moved and seconded to transfer $1,165 from Attainable Housing Fund to the County General Fund. Further discussion?
Just so I'm remembering, this is the tax issue that came up on the property we
Yes,
purchased in
exactly.
Silverton. Okay, I'm good.
And it says that, for property taxes
I
due on
just-
lots
I
1
don't
through
have a
12.
copy of that, so for whatever reason.
Okay. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. I just highlighted attainable as a reminder there, Kelly, for you. Okay, all right. Okay, any other items of business?
Just a clarification, do I need to do anything, or is this already done?
It's done.
Done.
I just sent it to
I
everybody.
just didn't want it to seem like.
I didn't send it to myself, so
How
if you
come
would
you
look.
have,
Well, I'm
is it
asking you to-
because you're the chairperson and the
course it
rest
is.
of us have
Of
to
course
sit
it is.
here?
Yeah, would you
Watch it
look on
type.
your email and see if you got it? That's my question.
I don't even have internet, so I can't
I
tell you
got
if I
it.
got it.
Would you look on it now? Because it may have come back up. Because it let me send it, that's why I'm
Okay, let me
questioning.
look.
You need a
If not, it'll come up and I'll get it, that's not the issue.
See if it comes in.
I move that we extend these meetings another hour, just,
So we can make sure the internet's up and running.
my internet is not.
Did you get it? The email from me with the draft letter?
Mine's connected. How come you're not connected?
I don't know.
Can you pull
I'm
it up on
using
the world?
BOCC guest.
Use the
Will you check your-
BOCC
will
5G.
you check your-
Yeah, that's what's working for me is
Will you
5G.
check your
It's
email?
5G.
Well, it hasn't come up, so it won't come in.
That won't,
Hit the globe down at
No.
the bottom.
just your email's all I was interested in, sorry. I know,
Well, it wouldn't come in unless I'm connected. That's where I get my email on this guy right there.
oh, it is, you don't use
No, I
Outlook.
use it, but it's out. See, it would come in right there if I had it, but I have no internet.
Okay.
I'll
Will you
get it.
check your Outlook for me?
Sure.
No,
I don't
sorry.
know how.
There,
This?
yes.
That's probably not even set up. I don't know how to get, look at that. Let's see, the last, this was from February 22nd of 2017 was the last time I got anything on there.
Okay, click your inbox, you got 406 emails.
That's because I forward them all to the other one.
And then see if your most recent one, yeah,
Jeez.
just double click that Mamba.
I know what the county, let's see.
And then,
I'm double clicking away, nothing happening.
well, your inbox should light up. That's interesting. I can't see because of the glare on it, but sorry.
You can manipulate my computer if you choose.
Yeah, well, that is very strange.
I never use Outlook. I use
Okay.
Gmail, but this is all forward to my Gmail. I haven't missed any emails as long
Yeah,
as, as long as the internet was working.
But your guest's function isn't working, the guest
Right, didn't work, and then I tried the other one. both of them.
5G.
I didn't do 5G.
It's got a different password.
Oh, see, I don't have that.
I do, I
Different
gotta
mouse
find
than
it.
I've got too, by golly.
God, just break my mouse.
Yeah, so it's trying to load your most recent, I don't know how often this updates.
Password, you gotta remember what you put the password.
Um, Yeah, that's strange because Kara received hers.
See, I go down here, if you bring it all the way down, and it just says, see that little
Yeah,
yellow thing?
yeah, right. You are
Yeah.
not connected for some reason,
So
I don't know
I
why.
click that one right there, and then pick which one you wanna try.
And it says you are connected right now, but,
Well,
Oh,
but it
that's
says
your
no
guess,
internet, is what it says. See, it's still got the little yellow thing,
Yeah.
so it's still no, oh, looks like it's connected now. No, is that yellow thing there?
yeah, it's gone.
Okay, then I'll get it on my regular one.
Okay. Let's see about your,
I got that. Huh.
still getting a send receive error, so I don't know, Jay, that's,
See,
Yours is
if
set
if
up
the internet's
differently than
working, there's
mine.
no doubt that I have it. I mean,
okay, yeah,
You
cause
have the
Kara
password
received it,
normally,
so
but-
I was able
Do
to
you have the
email it.
password for that 5G?
Oh,
See, I use it, there's my web email.
right, okay, yeah, you just,
And
yours
it's
is-
coming up, I've got it, Tom draft letter.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, now that's, Jordan regarding a hot zone. Lisa according to reach discussion.
okay.
Got a lot.
Anything else, gentlemen?
No, good.
Any public comment? Hearing none.
So just real quick,
Tom, go ahead.
Is it unfinished business, or what is the issue with the ambulances, their inspection certification?
We approved those, we did that last meeting.
That was all approved?
Done, yeah, they picked up the certificates.
the only question we had was.
Susan came and picked them up.
And one was gonna go somewhere. and
One
somewhere
was for
else.
the file, one was for the ambulance barn. They were tied to the inspections, I followed up on that. Yeah. So that's been done, you bet. Good question.
So if we're gonna discuss the contracts of the public comment piece here on the meeting in Wetmore, then you mentioned the word negotiate or whatever on the contract down there. Is that what you wanted, is that what you intended?
Yes, what I intended to do is look at the contract that was presented to us, and we could discuss in an open meeting if we wanted to alter it, modify it, say we're not gonna do it, and then make a decision where we go with that.
Okay, and are you thinking that a decision would be we would approve the contract and go with it?
I have no idea what
Well, I
you
mean,
guys are gonna
what
do.
was your intent for that? I
My
mean,
intent was to bring the contract up and say, this is what we agree, and send it to them and see,
okay, I see.
assuming we're moving forward.
Okay,
We may
see,
decide
and-
not to move forward
Sure,
with it.
well, I don't see any reason why we wanna not negotiate it regardless of who pays for it. So that was the other question I had, which would be if we were wanting to get some other action than just what you just said, then we would probably have to have the discussion on where the money came from. I don't necessarily wanna do that.
I would fully anticipate that would be part of the discussion in Wetmore.
So that we got the whole big picture and then let
See.
them go back and see if they're gonna
Here's
accept
what
the
a
terms.
potential outcome could be, and I'm not advocating this, but let's just say, if the three of us came up and said, these are the changes we'd like in the contract, we could agree that if they accept this, we will sign the contract with our modifications, and the funding will come from wherever we choose.
That is an option to consider.
That's what I anticipate, but I'm just one of three. So if the other two musketeers would like to do it differently, I'm fine with that. I'm not hell-bent on anything, I
Okay.
promise you.
Just wanted to make sure we discussed everything that was appropriate, that's all.
Yeah, I'd like to discuss the Reach Ambulance contract that we have, and the discussion may lead, that's why it's consideration, may lead to an action item. We vote to approve it pending the changes, pending their approval of our changes, and the money will come out of
Or depending on discussion
Tom
down there,
Shepherd's
whether
salary.
there's other input for doing it some other way.
Of course.
That could happen.
Of course.
Okay,
That's what the discussion's all about.
good.
Tom's gonna write us a check.
Well, that'd be good. There are people that do that, and you get a good tax break.
Well, he said that. Didn't he say a guy in
Other people
Wyoming?
do that.
I
20
listened
grand,
very
shoot,
carefully. He
got that
said,
laying
a guy in
around.
Wyoming bought it for everybody in their
Fund,
county. All
trust
right.
fund.
let's keep this going. We got one more hour to go.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
during
done.
public comment, I just want to share an email that I did get from AT&T
Cool.
this morning. So I reached out to her this morning before the meeting. She said, although it's our first net, although the tower, AT&T tower is for our first net coverage, we are also deploying for additional cell phone capabilities. We ran into some issues on Friday, but it looks like the tower should be lit up today. I had a question yesterday, did they include any equipment on that tower to address cell phone coverage in Custer County? I couldn't honestly answer that. I assumed they did, but I didn't know that. So she says apparently they did. They're deploying for additional cell phone capabilities. So if you take this at face value, then even AT&T coverage should improve after this tower. So.
And just on the Verizon tower,
Mhm.
I do not believe it's still live yet, to the best of my
No,
knowledge.
I can give you an update on that
Okay,
if you
good.
want. I had a conversation yesterday about it. The problem with firing up AT&T tower is
The Verizon
CenturyLink, or Verizon tower, CenturyLink has not lit their fiber to that site.
Exactly.
Verizon is ready to light that tower.
I know
They
they
can't
are.
do it without CenturyLink, and I have no idea what the problem is with CenturyLink and their fiber going to that tower.
It's kind of a common question. I have no idea
Yeah.
what's going on.
Anything else?
Well, Lisa's commented on the discussion with Reach, but I don't know that it's appropriate here,
I have
so.
one other thing here.
Go ahead.
Since you brought up the other thing. I did get from the operations director for CenturyLink, Tony Hasenek. He sent me a letter that described where they stand with their fiber optic issues, like where they cleaned up where it is. He's also sent a map, and then he included, I'm gonna use this with Gary. I'm gonna have Gary be the guy that, because he patrols the roads and gets calls on the roads to decide whether or not it's cleaned up and meets the county's requirements, and will work with CenturyLink.
I missed who this is from.
Hasnick, the operations chief that actually was in charge of putting in the fiber for Tim Kunkelman. And he is the guy. He says he also has a number for anyone who wants the new service, that wants to connect to the fiber. And he gives them the process to do that. So I was going to ask, this is probably worth putting out somehow. Do we want to put it in the paper, or do we want to post it, or?
My knee-jerk reaction is it's not our responsibility
It is.
to advertise for CenturyLink.
No, I'm not, it's, okay, but the cleanup issue is, and he just added this
Yeah,
other
well,
paragraph, so.
Certainly, I agree that Gary should be the person that.
All right, so that's all I need to know. I don't care about advertising either, because they've got that covered anyway. They're gonna get flyers out there and everything else.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had another email today that's pertinent to this meeting, and I'll just mention it, and then, gentlemen, I would ask for you to help. We have 2 more microphones. There was an email to me that said that the audience via the live stream could not hear anything Kitch said. So we probably need to get with Vernon and decide if we're gonna have comments from the public. They either need to come to the microphone or we hand them a mic or something.
Hand them, do we have any hand?
No, it's just those 2. Those are the only ones. So,
It'd be nice if we could hand one,
right, well,
kind of like I asked the gentleman from Reach to come up, because I knew the audience was interested.
initially, we were gonna mount those 2 microphones to the ceiling,
Okay?
but I don't know how that's, I could talk with Vern about that, but I think it was a valid point that the whole point of us spending
Agree.
the money
I
was
agree.
to increase our ability to hear people, so
I don't
I never even thought about it when Kit stood up to speak. That just got by me, so.
When he did, I was thinking of the microphone hanging from the ceiling, we still need something to pick up.
Or we could do, like, let's make a deal, you just hand them the
That's
microphone.
right.
Could do that.
Talk. So, anyway, just a point of
No, I
trying
think
to
it's an
remember
excellent point. The reader did a good job.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Tom, since you're only public, anything else? Thank you for being here, appreciate it,
I
appreciate your
Tom.
interest, thank you. Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion Motion carries. All right, meeting is adjourned. Ms. Kelly, thank you.